You're listening to the Black Eagles podcast with Sinan Schwarting and Kaan Bayazit.
Ahmet Dursun Sergen aldı. Sergen Bülent yan yana. Sergen Bülent. Sergen. Yanında Tümer var. Tümer'e doğru aksi kaybetti. Tümer topu aldı. Sergen aldı. Gol! Gol! Gol! Sergen attı. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi. Sergen attı. Şampiyonluk geldi.
İbrahim'in pası. Roma. Şimdi Ahmet. İkinci gole gidiyor Beşiktaş. Ahmet.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Black Eagles podcast. Hello Black Eagles, I hope you're doing great. You should be, we just came off of another win. My name is Kaan Bayazit and I'm joined as always by the man who is writing his own novel, ladies and gentlemen. He has yet to find a name for it, but it's a fantasy novel, so maybe you can give him some tips in the comments. Sinan, how are you doing?
Very good, actually. The novel's coming along really well, too, now that you mention it. So, yeah, I'm in a great place, and I think we all know why, on the back end of things. It's been a good week for all of us, I think you could argue.
Definitely.
How you feeling, Kartal?
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man, especially after yesterday's great performance. I think most of the fan base just now are very excited. Myself included. We watched a great game yesterday, very exciting. And it's just an exciting time in general. We start our European campaign on Thursday. We've got some incoming transfers, it seems, some outgoing transfers. So we'll get into all of that as the episode goes on. But yeah, I'm feeling good, guys.
And don't forget to join us in the comments, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see on the side there. The comments are live on the screen, so join us and let us know how you feel about the game on the weekend. And later in the broadcast, we actually have a special exclusive interview for you with Oliver Zesiger about our upcoming European opponents. As Kartal already alluded to, on Thursday, we play away against Lugano. And then, of course, next week, Thursday, on the 29th, we will play the return leg in Istanbul. And yeah, of course, we are looking forward to those two confrontations. We do not have a match on the weekend. We have a bye week. And so do Lugano. They don't have a match on the weekend either. So both teams can fully focus on that European confrontation. But more for that later today. Right now, we're here to talk about our game on the weekend, on Sunday, yesterday, against Antalyaspor. Of course, following the 2-0 away win at Samsun, we already had 3 points in the bag, and we added another 3 points to that total, continuing being the leaders in the Super League for the time being after a 4-2 win against Antalyaspor. We'll look a little bit more in depth at some of the interesting positions of the night. But yeah, let's get our feelings out there first. Kartal, I'm gonna start with you. How did you look at this game? How did we play? What is your general takeaway from the game?
If you remember, guys, last week I was very disappointed in the game. I believe we all were, to be honest. But yesterday was just the complete opposite. I was thrilled with the performance. I was buzzing during the game. I was buzzing after the game because I thought it was a dominant performance throughout. We'll get to that soon. We created a lot of chances. Our players combined very well. The only thing maybe we could criticise was we could have been a bit more ruthless, and also maybe we could have been a bit more careful defensively at times as well. But other than that, for me, that was a near perfect performance. I don't know about what you guys think.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I mean, some people, have said that we probably could have scored more than we did. But for me, that was about as good as you could have expected, could have hoped for. Obviously, some defensive lapses, but I don't think, we obviously we were playing somewhat of a makeshift back line, which is worth noting, with Emirhan Topçu as a left back. And I think we're all maybe anticipating Kali being moved to backup. I mean, we'll talk about that stuff later. Anyway, point being, it was a great performance. And as Jason says there, not only is it the best start of the big three, but I think you could probably make the argument that that was the best performance out of the 6 performances we've seen thus far, right? 2 of ours, 2 of Fener's, and 2 of Galatasaray. That was the best singular performance any of us have been able to put out in the Super League thus far. So that's worth talking about. And finally, my last note to keep the good vibes going. I feel like people use the word vibes too much. Anyway, that's another conversation also. But one thing about being on top of the table for 2 weeks is, Eagles tend to build nests, so they better not let us get too comfortable up there. So I'll pass it back to you, Kaan.
That's a very good one, Sinan. And I did bring up the starting lineup there for a second already. But yeah, as you alluded to, Emirhan Topçu was a little bit of a makeshift. I mean, not a present, I think, for a new signing, having to make your first start kind of as a fish out of water. He started at left back. He's of course a tall, strong central defender. How did you guys think he fared at left back? Were you impressed, or did you think he was?
I was.
Yeah.
I was very pleasantly surprised by his performance. Obviously, like, you could tell he was to some extent a bit of a fish out of water, right? Like, that wasn't where he wants to be playing. The kind of mobility you need on the wing, that's not his strong suit. But like, he was trying his best. I remember that one run where he was kind of clodding forward, but he kept moving the ball forward until I think he successfully got the ball into the midfield. So no, I mean, I think he did the best he could out of position. But he showed a lot of things, like, as a central defender, if you can pass the ball like that, if you can be kind of confident on the ball like that, suddenly you're talking about a weakness turning into a strength. So I thought he looked really good. I'm not going to lie. Like, obviously, we want another probably backup left back. Sure. But as far as maybe him taking Kali's spot, as the left central defender, definitely raising some eyebrows, right?
Yeah. What were your thoughts on Emirhan's performance at left back, Kartal?
I think initially, as the game started, he looked a wee bit shaky on the ball, but I think as time grew on, in the second half especially, I thought he was really good, to be honest. Even on the ball, he started to look good. Obviously, we'll get to it soon as well. We'll debatably had 2 goals disallowed unfairly. Yeah. Could have a couple of goals as well, but I thought maybe a bit shaky at the start, but quickly grew into the game, put in a solid shift both defensively and on the ball. I was very, very impressed by Emirhan Topçu, especially considering the fact that the boy was out of position, playing left back instead of left centre back. So yeah, but so far so good from him. I was very impressed.
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree with that. Emirhan started a little shaky. You could definitely tell that it's not his position. It's not his favorite position by far. Something that jumped out to me is that he was very eager to try and knock a cross in really quickly.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And he had a couple of really good dribbles as well, actually. Or like getting out of a precarious situation, because I definitely think that Antalya were thinking, okay, look, they're playing a central defender at left back. That's their weakness. We have to exploit that. They were pressing him and putting him under pressure quite rigorously. And I thought he did well coming out from under it. He started a little slow. He had a few, maybe, moments where he didn't look great, but I mean, that's just normal, I think, when you're playing in that position as a central defender. And he grew into it for sure.
I mean, the funny thing about that, Kaan, I'll just in our group chat, Iggy, one of our good friends, Iggy, said Emirhan doesn't look too good at left back.
Yeah.
And I replied saying, yeah, he started that shaky, and then as soon as I wrote that, he dribbled like 3 guys, and then after that, from then onwards, it was
that's the play I was talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a stellar performance from him.
And he also had that one really good splitting pass through the middle to play into Rafa, I think, which set up a dangerous attack. I think that might have led to the Rasicka chance. I'm not 100% sure, but we had a really
The one that was saved.
Yeah, I might have been
That's
that
like,
one.
That's just for sure. I can't remember the exact possession you're talking about, but I do remember thinking they had a few really nice passes throughout the game. So yeah.
Man, Rashica had such a good match. In the rewatch that I watched, because sorry, I want to make a little technical side note. I need to rant for a moment. Be in USA. Can you please work on your shit? Because it's gotten to the point now where, like, look, they would cut out at the end of games, like when the allotted time was like probably supposed to end, and like they would, like I'd missed the last couple of minutes of extra time, stuff like that. But like, so yesterday they just didn't air the game at all. So I'm watching on like terrible streams. It was that in itself was bad. But so then they somehow had it on file so they could play it during the rewatch. So it's not like they didn't record it. I don't know what the heck is going on. They never make this mistake for like Ligue 1 or 2 for that matter. So that sucks. But anyway, rant over. The only point I really have to make is that on the rewatch, there were so many players who if you take them out and look at their individual performance, who just played so well. And it's to the point where I don't even think you could say anyone put in a real bad performance, right? Like, that first goal we allowed was sloppy. Yeah. Kali was like a little slow to get back, but then he made so many phenomenal tackles and was such a solid defender in this match. And I'm not one to get excited about Kali ever, historically. But that's there's no one whose performance you could really say, he didn't, put up his end.
I thought Kali played a great game. There was one challenge in the second half where, like, they only had like 3 chances the full game and they scored 2 of them, and one of them was a mistake from kickoff right at the start for their first. But I remember in the second half they had an attack, and Colley just, it was all over the guy, man. Like, I remember writing in the chat, like, that was just like top tier defending. Just didn't let the guy was coming down like the left side, well, his right or left side of the box, and then Colley just completely blocked him off, turning in the way towards goal, and the ball just ended up going out for a goal kick. It was perfect. I mean, it just stuck to the guy with like glue as well. And remember last season against Trabzon, we criticised Colley because he was just going back and back and back and not committing to Onuachu, not actually going for him. But this was the complete opposite. He stuck to this guy like glue and forced the guy into playing it out. It was brilliant.
Yeah. No, I mean, there are a number of plays where he made key tackles, like, and it was exactly like, so on the first goal, obviously people were focused on Jedson and Immobile's kind of miscue.
It's not on Jedson, man, for me.
Well, and one of the greatest moments of the match actually was right after we scored the equalizer. It was obviously Immobile's fantastic volley that did it, and he went straight to Jedson and took blame for the first goal and was like, sorry, that was a bad pass. But so like the one sort of theoretical blunder was like colleagues kind of slow to react and get back in defense. And again, I think it was just because everyone was caught off guard. But so like that's the one fault I've kind of put on him of late. But then, as you were saying, Kartal, like I think there were like 5 or 6 plays where he did get back. And frankly, like I think it was maybe 2 episodes ago, and I said that when you have enough good players and you have a good system kind of taking shape, guys, and I think I said it was Rashica, Masuaku, Svensson. I said, guys who are like good but maybe not great are suddenly going to look a lot more useful. And I think you might even add a guy like Kali to that list, which is not to say that he couldn't be improved upon if the board is listening. But I mean, yesterday for me was him playing up to the level of our team, and he looked solid. He looked really solid.
Yeah, definitely agree. Let's have a quick look at that goal we could have that opening goal. And what was your first thoughts when we conceded that?
Well, my first thought was, oh fuck, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
I just had a feeling that this wouldn't be it, and I had the feeling would show a response, and the response was phenomenal. But yeah, my initial first reaction was, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely my heart sank, and again, so like I was struggling to find the match because of freaking being USA, jerks that they are. And so, yeah, again, I turned the match on, we're down a goal, and I'm seeing like the last replay, and I'm like, what? I have no idea really what happened. Like you want to like come out with an armchair take. Whose fault is this? But I didn't even get to see it, So that was annoying for sure. It was the opposite of what happened against Galatasaray. So yeah, I'm on the receiving end of that again. But yeah, I mean, I will say that our response, even before we finally scored, was exactly what you wanted to see, right? Like, so it was pretty clear as soon as we restarted after their goal that we were not going to lay down for this one.
Yeah, and just like comparing that to last season, one of our biggest problems last season was as soon as we conceded a goal, we just gave up. I mean, not every game, obviously. The cup final is a great example of a great response, but in general, last season, as soon as we went a goal down, that was that. Like the boys were all deflated. We never saw much of a response, and we'd lose games. But like that response was phenomenal. We pressed them very high up when we lost the ball. We gained the ball quickly, had possession, combinated very well, created chances almost immediately. Rafa had a 100% goal chance with a header before Immobile even scored. He should have scored that, to be honest, man. Like we created a lot of chances in this game, as we'll talk about soon. But
I'll bring up the stats right now. Actually, we can talk about it. Oh, you know what?
Yeah, Karen, I think maybe we should just talk about our equaliser first, and then we can get to that. Then maybe the stats.
Yeah, we can talk about the equalizer first, sure. But I was also noticing that that you guys were not getting the screen that I was showing because I was in studio mode.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, we didn't see the highlight, but I saw on the YouTube feed.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's have a look at the stats first, though. Before we get into our goals and all that kind of stuff, let's have a look at these stats, guys, because you already talked about it. We showed a great response after we went down a goal, and I completely agree with you, Kartal, that last season, whenever we faced adversity, the team would get rattled, and we wouldn't show the good response. But I think also, like Sinan, you mentioned this yesterday or earlier today in the point you were making before as well, like how Ciro took responsibility. But something you forgot to add to that thought that you added earlier, actually, is that he's showing great leadership. And I think both Ciro and Rafa and Gabriel Paulista too, like they're showing great leadership on the pitch. Even when Ciro, I think when he scored, he told the team to calm down. It's just we've that's why we got these guys. But the reaction we showed, we didn't relent. We immediately started pressing them. It was almost like the team mentality. They just flipped the switch and they said, "Okay, we're down 1-0, but let's approach this as if it's still 0-0, and just play the game."
And another thing, no, sorry. Before we move on from that last point, though, Kaan, another thing I noticed was that, and this was actually after the game. But when you look at Gio van Bronckhorst and Ciro interact, they almost have a kind of like assistant coach and coach kind of interaction where they're both kind of have this like paternal qualities over the rest of the team. So you can tell, like, as far as leaders go, that like Ciro's buying into whatever Gio's selling as well. So no, I feel like we have a great like leadership hierarchy or ladder or whatever it is you call it, right? Like, you have coaches on the pitch, right?
Go ahead,
I mean, I think the whole team's bought into what Gio wants, and that's why we've so far. I mean, obviously we got the result last week, but the football wasn't great. But over the friendlies, over the games we've seen a team that's bought into the ideas of the coach, and for the first time in a long time, a coach that actually has ideas. Like modern ideas that isn't just go out and play football, like a coach that's got a clear tactical plan, and we've got a team that's buying into that tactical plan and executing it to the best of their ability, and it's really just beautiful to watch.
Yeah. I mean, definitely you can tell that the team has bought in, like you said. By the way, guys, are you getting the screen now? The correct one?
See us.
You see it?
I can't see that.
Wait, let me just refresh that.
Sinan, you're on.
Yeah, I've lost.
That's it. Yeah.
I've lost.
No,
I've lost
you
the
should-
NDI.
You should have.
There we go. Now I
you
see
have
it.
it,
Now I see it. Yeah.
All
yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, it's.
You guys don't hear that, right?
No, I don't hear anything.
No, we don't. No.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
It's killing me though. So for anyone, if anyone does hear it if it does get picked up on the mic, there's some crazy construction taking place, like on the facade of my building, like right now. And I'm glad that my mic isn't picking it up. It means it's doing a good job, but I am being driven out of my mind, like at the moment.
It's
sorry,
fine. We don't hear a single sound. But let's get to these stats,
Amazing.
guys. Sinan, do you want to go over the stats?
Yeah, definitely. So we had 56% of the ball, which is saying a lot because we were playing from ahead for most of this match, or at least like with the momentum, even when we weren't ahead early on. We had 2.57 xG to their 1.18. Caveat being, of course, that's just one. That's kind of a subjective stat, if you will. You could probably make the argument that we might have had more goals expected. Anyway, total shots, we had 14 to their 7. On target, 6 to their 3. We had 8 big chances to their 3. Kartal, I'll let you put your slant on that.
I mean,
We missed 4 big chances to their 1. Sorry, go ahead, Kartal.
I was just saying that because you asked me to put my slant on that. I counted 9 chances altogether.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, to be fair, they're normally very conservative with what's deemed as a big chance. So the fact that they put down 8, I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, for sure. We completed more passes, 336 to their 239, and we completed them more efficiently at an 84% rate to their 74. We committed 17 fouls to their 13, which is actually interesting. I think the ref was terrible.
That's
That could be what counts for that.
I mean, they were flopping all over the pitch. Like anytime, any contact, they'd go down like a brick.
And certainly the big foul which they missed on, which was the one which they took our goal away from, right? They called a foul on Collie, was not a foul, so we could make it 16 right off the bat. Anyway, offsides, we were offsides 5 times. Again, questionable. We'll talk about that too. They were offsides twice. Corners, we had 3 to their 0. And it's worth noting, by the way, so the first goal that was canceled, our first goal that was canceled, we're the only team that had goals canceled. But anyway, was another really fantastically organized set play, and this is becoming a theme. We've talked about it on 2 other instances. And again, it was that little, guys making runs before we even pass the ball, creating a great opportunity, which was put away. And then somewhat inexplicably, I don't even think it's somewhat, it was just very inexplicably called off. I mean, should we move on to that call? Like, do you guys want to talk about that a little bit? Actually, I guess first, Kartal, why don't you do the dual stats before the first goal that they called off, the Emirhan, the Collie foul, quote unquote foul.
In terms of duels, we won 47 duels, which was 44% of them in the game. They won 59, so they actually had the upper hand in that regard. In terms of the ground duels won, it was 40 each, so that's 50-50. In terms of aerial duels, they actually dominated us in this regard. 7 aerial duels won from us compared to 19 from Antalyaspor. Successful dribbles, we had 8, and they had 6. 44% of ours were successful, so that's roughly probably 8 out of 17 that were successful for us, and they had 6 out of 12. But yeah, I mean, I think the stats just back up what we're all saying, and it was just a very dominant performance from us. 4-2, probably generous for them. I mean, that's generous if we're all in agreement that the disallowed goals should have been allowed. So it was a very, very generous scoreline for them. Even if you count them, I think it's still a generous scoreline. I think this could have been embarrassing for Antalyaspor. They were just lucky that we were maybe not a tad more ruthless in front of goal.
Yeah, it could have been another 7-2, or what was that when Kagawa scored a hat-trick on his debut.
That's right, yeah.
But
I think it was 6. Yeah.
7, I think 7. But my take on this, by the way, on the aerial duels, for example, you say they dominated us, but you need to keep in mind we had 3 corners, they had 0. So obviously they're going to, if we don't score on the corner, they're gonna clear it, right? So that's an aerial, probably 1. We had more set pieces as well, I think. Dangerous set pieces. So you need to keep that in mind. So the defending team, if they clear, they're gonna win those aerials and stuff like that. So I think that's something to keep in mind with that. So you guys do you want to go into the goals or the disallowed goals first? Which one would you like to?
We'll go first. I think chronologically.
Chronologically? So? All right,
yeah.
Chronologically. So we started off with the actual goal that Antalyaspor scored after just a couple of seconds. And then in the 13th minute, our hero, or the first goal that we conceded. So that's great. Anything you guys want to add about our first goal?
I mean, there's a nice piece of footwork from Rafa. He passes the ball on to Rashica, who makes a kind of beautiful turn, and just as and then there's a beautiful reverse through ball. In fact, it's all San Jacob-esque, you could argue, the pass from Rashica. It was a beautiful reverse through ball. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, it's not an easy finish at all for Immobile. He comes into his path, he smacks it just hard to the near post, and the keeper's beat. Maybe you could argue the keeper should be shutting off his near post better, but in terms of a finish from that position, and to be able to just hit it hard and like that, it doesn't get much better than what Ciro Immobile done there.
Yeah, and a huge sigh of relief maybe from our fans. Sinan, were you relieved when we scored pretty early on? Equalized, I should say. I think you're muted if you're talking, by the way.
He keeps muting himself.
He does.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's sorry, because I went to get more water. No, I definitely was relieved, and I think you saw us building up and knocking on the door. So to see it definitely happen was great. But also for it to beat Immobile, right? Because that kind of you want him to break his duck in the league, and then to see the way we've talked about a few times now, where he talks to Jedson and kind of like rights the ship. Because you imagine, right? He doesn't have a chance on the pitch to talk to him, right? From when that mistake occurred until that moment, basically. So that's he gets his chance to kind of lead on the pitch, and he does it after a fantastic strike, right? Mm-hmm. Excellent volley, exactly what you kind of were hoping you'd get from him in a best case scenario. So yeah, I mean, as good of a response as you could ask for, I would say.
Yeah, have you got the clip for that goal, Kaan, so we could show the viewers? I'm sure they've seen it anyway, but
which goal? Sorry,
first goal, because
I showed it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We were doing that earlier.
Yeah.
All right. That's then.
I can show it again if you'd like.
We
couldn't see it. Let's move to the next one. Let's go to the next
one. If you're showing up, I don't want to increase the chance that we get copyright.
So 13 minutes in, 1-1. Another 10 minutes later, and we score the second goal, and it's again Ciro Immobile. This time on the assist from Simi. Started with Immobile. I think he headed the ball through to Simi, who then took on the defender, and of course, as you saw the result there, scored the goal.
Actually, it started with Matt with the long ball up. Yeah. Immobile brings it beautifully for Simi. Yeah. Simi beats his man. I just completely out-muscles him. The guy's on the floor, on the ground. And Semi, he could have been greedy, but no, he just squares it to Immobile, who scores for the easy finish. But yeah, it was a nice team goal, just very effective play. What Immobile done there is what you refer to as a pivot play from a striker. So he's kind of brought the ball down from like an aerial ball down and like set it off to the left in this case. And in this particular position, he's continued his run as Semi makes his run down, and then Semi's beating his man, and Immobile is in the perfect position at the right time just to receive that ball back from Semi to slot it home and give us a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, great work by both of them linking up again. Sinan, 23 minutes in, and we take the lead, and all is right in the world,
could
right?
Be, for sure. And I think what could be overlooked is how lovely of a kind of technical touch that was from Semi, because it's with the back of his foot, with the outside, with a little bit of pace on it, right, to get it right into Immobile's pad. I mean, it was a perfectly struck pass right out of the keeper's outstretched reach. So I loved everything about that. And like we've talked also, I think 3 or 4 episodes ago when we were talking about kind of building the squad out and Semi's ability to not just score goals as we saw last year, but to contribute with assists. And I think now it's hard to argue that we're seeing that, right? He's got 2 assists already in 2 matches in the league. And you know, that ability on the ball really shone through on that play. I thought it was fantastic. And having someone like Immobile in there in the middle kind of activates him even more, I think. So I'm excited about what we're going to see between Semi and Immobile and their celebration together, you know, like Immobile lifting him up and they're pointing at each other and like, you know, everything you're hearing in the interview from Gio about how they're all kind of trying to build Semi up, you know, as a unit. You see that. You can see it, you know, as they celebrated there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I loved that goal. For me, that was probably my favorite moment in the match out of many.
Yeah, worth mentioning as well that in 2024, Semi now has 10 goals and 6 assists, making him the highest goal contributing Turk in the world right now in the top flight leagues. So
there you go.
Definitely that. And it wasn't too late after that, too long after that actually, that we scored, or we thought at least we had scored again. And all that agreed. That goal should have stood. There's really nothing going on there. Like, yeah, there's contact, sure, but I mean, this is a extremely soft disallowed goal, and it really should have been 3-1 here, fellas. I don't know how you felt about that at the time, but especially
not to be too conspiratorial. I mean, not to like make a mountain out of a molehill or whatever, but I mean, it felt like the refs didn't even know what they were calling at first. You know, like there was the announcer was pretty sure that there was an offside for about 5 minutes, and then he kept watching the highlight, and so on the replay it wasn't even the weird kind of Turkish guy who whatever they had like the American guy, and he was like at first he's like, oh, he was definitely offside, and then he watched the replay and he was like, there's no way he was offside. And then 5 minutes later, they played the replay again. They're like, oh, apparently they called a foul. And he's watching it. And he's like, and he's trying to be diplomatic about it, but he's like, I think Beşiktaş will feel hard done by on that, and there's no doubt. I mean, what the hell was that? The way he flopped down on such minimal contact, you have to, if you're jumping to head the ball, you've got to at least account for the other person in your immediate area so that you don't die trying to land. So the idea that there'd be no contact at all is completely unrealistic. And given that we're playing a contact sport, that it's football, again, that minimal contact being called a foul. Yeah, that was BS, man.
It's just a hand on the back and the guy makes a meal of it. That's in my eyes. I think the goal should have stood. Emirhan should have got his home debut goal, and it would have been really nice for him. It was just a shame for him. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't change too much ultimately. Unless, of course, it turns out like the 2021 season where we win the league by a goal. Yeah. And then if we're to lose in that situation, it could be it would be horrific. It'd be devastating and heartbreaking, and you'd be looking back at this saying, oh, that was the difference between winning and losing the title. Obviously, the chances are it's probably not going to happen. I think from when I can remember, I think only 2 Super League titles have been decided by a goal difference. Kaan, you can correct me on that.
Yeah, the 1986 one, I think it was. We won that on goal difference from Galatasaray, I want to say, or 85, 86, I don't remember exactly. And then, yeah, it was twice us. Oh, no, 3 times actually. Because in 1993, Galatasaray won it on goal difference.
That's right. Forgot about that one. That's right.
And then we won it again, of course, in 21 on goal difference.
So I think there was 4 altogether.
I think
the
it's
tabs on 5 in 2011.
No.
Was that not goal difference?
Was that on goal difference? No, I don't think so. I think it was.
They were on even points.
I think they were. I think Fenner had 1 point more or something.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the one that's kind of escaped my mind that I was thinking about in my lifetime, though. But you're right. The one in '93 is obviously the infamous one where it was the Antalyaspor goalkeeper was seemingly bribed to concede all those goals. There was a lot of allegations around match fixing after that game, and my dad told me that story when I was a wee boy, and that apparently one of our fans actually committed suicide after that. So I think that would have been our 4th consecutive title, Kaan, is that right?
It would have been the 4th, yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Would have been the 4th consecutive title. Since we have a talking point here of a disallowed goal and whether or not we think it should have been disallowed or not, maybe we should get to the comments here and see what our viewers think of this goal being disallowed, because I spotted a few at least commenting on it. Sinan.
Let me start from the top. So first of all, Carlito saying whoop whoop, back at you. Good evening to you too, Jason. Umer said new background, Kaan. I think you should probably take a bow. You've been productive on the UI end for us.
New background?
I think he's talking about my background of the stadium.
Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah,
it must be that. No,
that's the one piece of.
Yeah, because they haven't seen the Europa League.
They have not yet.
Wait till they see. Wait till they get a hold of that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We've
got R27.
Actually, see now, if they're a Patreon member, they could have seen it already, because I posted a behind the scenes video yesterday where they could have previewed our Europa League background and look, or aesthetics rather, if you will. So if you're not a Patreon member yet, you should definitely become one. It's a 7-day free trial, no commitments. You can try all our VIP content, so that's our VIP audio podcast. I've been releasing every couple of days, match days and stuff like that, for just $1.99 or less than a cup of coffee, as Kartal pointed out last week. But it's free for 7 days. You can try it, give it a try, guys. See if you like it. If you don't like it, just opt out and you don't get billed. And if you do like it, stick around for a cup of coffee every month, $1.99. Just go to patreon.com/Beşiktaş podcast, and you can become a Patreon member today. And I'll be posting obviously the audio, the VIP audio podcast, which is an additional podcast on top of our usual shows every week. And then from time to time you might get something fun from the backstage repertoire. But so much for my pitch, Sinan.
I was gonna say, where's the graphic? Yeah, okay. Anyway, RQ7 said we're winning the Europa League. Okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit, but sure, let's why not? We hope so. Jason says he hopes, or Topçu should get a chance at central defender, which we kind of were talking about, I guess. I think I might have alluded to that at one point earlier when we were talking about Carly, but I at the same time, Carly had such a good game. I don't feel like. Anyway, RQ7 said even Celtic Sports is better than being USA. Even Celtic Sports. In Celtic Sports' defense, that's been like a mainstay for, I don't know, man, for like a decade now. So credit to whoever's running that illegal operation. Probably shouldn't be saying that on air. Anyway, hypothetical question. Are you ready for this one, guys? Is this a little too off topic?
No, go ahead.
Should we talk about So it says, what would you guys prefer? A Europa League early knockout loss, or dropping to the Conference League but reaching the semi-final? And I'll preface that before we answer. We've got some answers already in the group. Umer Gunal says Europa League games versus Spurs, Roma, Athletic Bilbao, probably etc. will give us way more exposure than any game in the Conference League could. Not necessarily. I think Chelsea is so shit nobody even bothers watching them now. I don't know about that, but I know a lot of plastics here in the U.S. who are Chelsea fans still, somehow. Holdovers from the era, the Abramovich era. Carlito says semifinal at Conference League will resonate more in the stats. For this season, it would be fine. Also for confidence. Next season, not so much. And so I guess before we get on to the next comment, maybe let's hear what you guys think. What do you guys think? Europa League, Conference League?
I'll let Kartal go first.
How are you weighing those things?
Okay. I just want to play in the Europa League. It's the competition that has more prestige, slightly more money. Obviously, it's not a huge amount of money, but I think as a club, as much as we're spending money, like we're still not in a good financial position. Like we need to make as much money as possible, and to make as much money as possible, you need to be in the tournament that gives you the most money possible. And obviously, considering there's no way we could play in the Champions League this season, the Europa League is that competition for us. So I think in terms of prestige, in terms of money, it's Europa League for me every day of the week.
Yeah.
What do you think,
I mean,
Tom?
if you would have given me the option of getting knocked out now and winning the Conference League, then I'd pick the Conference League for sure. But other than that, a semi-final, I don't care. You know, we need to get to the Europa League stages because I spent a lot of time preparing Europa League
These graphics.
So we need to go to the Europa League. Damn it.
It's hilarious. I'll add on to Kaan's caveat there. Whoa, we got a cat in the background. I would say that I think what's going on? I think that we could probably win the Conference League, and that could be worth it. You know, it'd be really fun to have our name on a trophy, right? And I think there's probably there's a higher likelihood of us winning the Conference League than the Europa League. So I would trade a Conference League win for getting knocked out of the Europa League group stages, was it? Was that the...
No. It's either go out now or not be. There's no more drop down to...
Early knockout loss. Wow, early knockout loss.
So it would be against Lugano now. So we would have to go out against Lugano in order to then go to the Conference League and potentially win it.
Yeah. I mean, for me anyway, there's just no way we can lose to Lugano.
We got to beat Lugano. In the context of just this one, head to head, we got to beat Lugano. And I feel like our squad is good enough, and we're finally we have a coach who's playing a fun style of play, who has some success in Europe. Like maybe this is where we really want to challenge ourselves in the Europa League. Maybe we can do it. I don't know. I mean, do it. I'm not going to say we're going to win the Europa League, but you know. We could be competitive. We could make a name for ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
According to the coefficients, the biggest team in the Europa League are AS Roma. But of course, there's some other big clubs in there that just have a little lower coefficients. But, you know, I mean, look. Giovanni van Bronckhorst got Rangers to the finals of... Was it the Europa League or the Conference League? I forget. But he got Rangers to a European final. He could do the same with us, but you know, you need a little bit of luck along the way. You know, like for example, for Rangers, they had the luck that they faced Borussia Dortmund in a period where Erling Haaland was injured. Exactly. So that's the type of luck you kind of need, right? If you come up against Tottenham, maybe if Son is injured or something.
Yeah.
But that type of luck you might require in order to reach a European final.
Talking about Tottenham, though, what a great chance that would be for revenge for Gio against Ange Postecoglou, because Ange got the best of him in Scotland, but if Gio could beat him in the Europa League with Beşiktaş against Tottenham, I mean, then he could tilt the scales in Gio's favour, saying, "Oh, maybe Gio's a better coach."
Keep in mind, though, if he does that, he'll be off to the Premier League next season. Need to keep that.
Any Premier League team that wants Gio will have to pay us a fee because he's got a 3-year contract.
Yeah, but still.
They'll pay it. That's nothing for them.
That's
Anyway, let me continue with the
yeah.
comments.
Let's continue with them.
Shit. I hate that whenever we have success, we have to start worrying about stuff like that. That's I'm not ready for that.
We've won 3 matches this
I
season.
know.
So,
I'm not
we
ready
should
for any of that.
temper a little bit.
Let's shelve that. Yeah. Then Umer, I think we're talking about the Kali foul in quotes. He dives down as soon as he realizes he won't beat Kali to the header. If we're going to call these fouls, let's not play this fucking game anymore. There's no point. We all, I think, agree there. Mario, how you doing? Welcome back. Umer says, we should be fuming right now. To be honest, that game should have been 6-2 for us, if not for referee errors. He killed our attack to not give advantages on offsides. He was absolutely terrible. Also in agreement. Anything you guys want to say about that before we move on from that comment?
I mean, Galatasaray fan told me right after the red card that, this referee's having a good game. I'm like, what are you talking about? He just needed to watch that replay 7 times before he decided to give a red. He should have given a red straight away, and he's been butchering us all game. Like, did you guys see the yellow card Masuaku got? The yellow card.
Yeah, what the hell?
What was that? It's 2 weeks in a row now that Masuaku gets a free effing yellow card. 4 yellows is a suspension. Watch him getting suspended for one of the derbies. And both the yellow cards he's got so far, he's got 2 and 2, are BS yellows. Like, you can't be giving yellow cards like that. Then you've got Torreira in every Galatasaray game making 3-4 yellow card offenses every freaking game and ending the game with zero cards. And Masuaku looks at a player and gets a yellow. What the heck is up with that?
I forgot what her name is, but one of our reporters on Sport X or A4 or something made the joke. She said that Masuaku got a yellow card for coming onto the pitch.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, he literally walked out and I was like, yellow card.
He went up for a header, heads the ball, and I think he hits the Antalya player in the back of his head while heading. Since when is that?
Barely.
When is that a yellow card? How is that a yellow?
To me, I saw a clean one of a header, and Masuaku just gently touches. They get the Antalyaspor player's back when he was going up for the header, and then the Antalyaspor player acted as if he was shot, and Masuaku got a yellow card. For me, it was clean as a whistle.
It was clean as a whistle, and especially, guys, I mentioned this last week, right? Like, I said last week when Masuaku got the yellow against Samsun, I said, how typical is it that in a game where the opponent has fouled you multiple times, relatively roughly already,
we get the first
you
one.
Get the first card, and it was the exact same thing again here. We got the first card. Did Antalya even get a yellow card? Because I think other than their red cards, I don't even remember if they got a yellow. Like, I
don't think so.
Not that they made like a plethora of dirty fouls or anything like that, but they made a fair share of professional fouls trying to break down our attacks. Where you're like, yeah, that's a yellow. That's always a yellow. Yeah. They're breaking down a promising attack. It's a yellow card, and then we get these ridiculously easy yellows. And I don't know. I don't think I've ever mentioned this on air, but we were talking about in our group chat, in our community, in our WhatsApp community, which also in the show notes you can go and you can join our community on WhatsApp and you can come and join in on the fun, on the conversations. But what we were discussing when we were talking about Ferdi, who's probably off to Brighton, Fenerbahçe's Ferdi Kadıoğlu, I mentioned there's an artificial inflation going on over the last 2 years maybe in his value. He's a great player, don't get me wrong. But what do clubs look at? They look at lots of different metrics. So they look at, how many duels does he win? How many chances does he create? How many whatever, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. They look at all those metrics. And one of those metrics is also discipline. How many times does he get booked? How many times does he commit a foul? Ferdi Kadıoğlu last season got 3 yellow cards in the entire season. I think I can if you give me 10 minutes, I think I can find you 3 different situations where he's pushing another player and doesn't get a card. Like, that's also a form of artificial fixing of the numbers. Like, because, like I said, clubs look at these metrics, and how many yellow cards a player gets is important because they want a player that's disciplined, that doesn't get booked all the time. And some players in our league are so protected, and don't get me wrong, I like Ferdi Alal, I think he's a great player, but he is 100% protected. The referees hold their hands above his head. Torreira is another one. He gets 100% protected. If you remember, Felipe Melo, one of the dirtiest players in the game that ever played in the Super League, he got protected so badly too, man. Like, he almost never got yellow cards, relatively speaking, to how many he should have gotten. And then you have Valentin Rosier, who looks at the player and gets a card. And Masuaku seemingly has taken that scapegoat role now as the go-to Beşiktaş player that needs to get a booking every game. I'm so sick and tired.
I hate that,
man.
yeah.
I'm so sick and tired of that shit.
They always pick one. It sucks. Anyway, let me get back to the comments.
Rant over.
Dinjer says it was a perfect goal. If that was Gladstone defender, they would have definitely been a goal for sure. It sucks. It really does. Mario says those 2 goals were sweet. We were robbed. We'll get to the second one probably still yet, but yeah, agreed. Umer says, I remember the last Lugano game at home. I said we'll win by 4, 5, or 6 goals, and we lost 3-2. So I'm not saying we can 100% beat them until we do. And then he says that the biggest team in the Europa League surely has to be Man U. Kaan, you're the one who was talking about the other teams, and I actually don't really even know who's in that pool to compete.
What I mentioned is coefficient-wise, right? Because Roma, of course, have played 2 European finals in recent history. So coefficient-wise, they're higher. But Manchester United, obviously, the biggest club.
It's like a bigger reputation-wise.
Obviously, the biggest club in the Europa League. But, what kind of season is Manchester United going to have as well? Erik ten Hag is staying. Very good coach, don't get me wrong. Despite what some people may think of him now, because the Manchester United adventure hasn't gone all great. But he's continuing to make the same mistakes. One of his biggest flaws at Ajax was his recruitment. So the recruitment was done by other people and was done well. But he brings in players he knows, and he's continuing to do that. And I don't know how he's going to bode for Manchester United. So they're the biggest name by far. But are they realistically going to win the Europa League? I don't know. I think we are one of the... If we get to the groups, I think we are one of the 10 contenders, perhaps. But that's,
hopefully.
Yeah.
It'll obviously depend on our form at the time.
Of course.
But like obviously we're going the right direction now. So knock on wood. I don't want to make any promises that we can't keep. Anyway, Orhan says that he asks what's your opinion about Mert Günok? He is inactive in defending crosses. Don't you think he could do something better in the first goal Antalya scored? I don't really remember that one.
Do you mean perhaps he means the second goal because that was a cross? But the first goal, I mean, that's a one-on-one situation. Sometimes you win them, sometimes you don't, right? Like, I think it was a neat finish by Samudio. Later in the game, Mert actually made a really good one-on-one save at 2-1. Just after we came out of the dressing room, and then of course just a minute or two later they score anyway, so it's like that save was for nothing. But I don't. It
was a good one.
I'm not a huge Mert fan, and I would look. I think Mert is a good goalkeeper, but he's not Muslera level, and I would aspire. I hope we aspire to one day get our own Muslera, a guy that's going to be like a legend and stay with us for 10 years, you know what I mean? I think any team wants that, ideally, when you bring in a player that they go on and they become your Atiba Hutchinson, but then in goal. And that's what Galatasaray has with Muslera.
Or an Ersin, but like where it works out and they actually, become like lifelong or whatever until they're sold for a ton of money. Anyway, continuing. So yeah, it was the Europa League that Giovanni Bronckhorst did well in.
Okay.
They lost to Frankfurt on penalties because Aaron Ramsey can't shoot for shit. Can't say that definitively or not, but probably. Yeah. Jason, beating Bottleham would be sweet. We are not all dual loyal. Most of us don't have a Premier League side, Jason. Most of us aren't gooners and don't care about.
Sinan, let's continue with the comments later though, because I really just wanted to get people's opinions.
We should probably get over it with the match.
I just wanted to get their opinions on the disallowed goal. We'll get back to the comments in a bit, but let's.
Defensive minded relative to Masuaku is he's a little man. He's a little guy. So when the ball's in the air like that, you run the risk of that. That's not going to be his strength, you'd imagine. But
yeah. And also the defending Emirhan does on the actual goal. I mean, let's have it.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't happen. And then it's 2-2 after just a few minutes into the second half. That was, I believe, the 51st minute, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just look at my notes.
Yeah, we struck right back.
The 51st minute. But yeah, like you said, we struck right back, Sinan. It didn't take us very long at all. In the 56th minute, we already scored again. And who else, guys, than the man who has now scored 3 games running, Rafa Silva, on another assist by Milot Rasicka. Let's have Haas. This time it's Rasicka with a somewhat simpler but equally good assist. And then Rafa, I thought Prick was playing a good game, the goalkeeper. I just wanted to get his name out there. He was also a little bit of a prick, actually, because I mean, they went up 1-0 after 22 seconds, and they immediately started time wasting. Like, do you guys remember? Like, every goal kick they'd get, like it would take like a minute, and the ref wouldn't do shit. And how funny is it then that when we're leading 3-2 and we get a goal kick and Mert's taking his time, then you see the ref go,
hurry up.
Take that goal kick or I'll put you in the books. But, they had like, at that point, maybe like 4 or 5 goal kicks already where they were just taking their sweet ass time. Fantastic finish by Rafa, guys. Kartal, Rafa Silva, what a signing has he already been? He's developing into, perhaps, for us at least, our best player, and maybe even the best player in the league.
I think there's no maybe about it. I think Rafa Silva is the best player in the Trendyol Super League just now, by far. I mean, what has been so decisive in 2 games so far? Obviously, has been played in the league. The cup, for us, the Super Cup as well, will be smashed Galatasaray 5-0. But what player's been this decisive in every single game that their team's played so far? Obviously, it's only been 2 games for most teams. Obviously, for us in Galatasaray, it's been 3 with the Super Cup. But I don't think there's been a player that's been so decisive yet. The guy's just a threat. He's a great dribbler. He's great at running in behind. He's great at finding space. He's a good passer as well. Like, what can this guy not do? He defends as well. The guy does everything. And it's maybe early to speak, but I honestly think if we win the league this season and Rafa continues in the same vein he started with, I think we're looking at maybe at the end of the season we'll be saying Rafa Silva's had one of the best one-year performances that we've ever seen in Beşiktaş history. It's not going to surprise me if we are saying that at the end of the season. And then it could be like that as well by the end of his contract when he's had all 3 years. It wouldn't surprise me either. But I think for this season, for sure, if, God forbid, knock on wood, there's no injuries, I think we could be talking about one of the best single season performances in a Beşiktaş shirt. And the only maybe doubt if will he be able to replicate that over the full 3 years is the fact that he's 31 already. But hopefully he can replicate that over the full 3 years. And if he has 3 great years and he continues the way he started, we could be talking about an all-time great.
Hopefully there's not too many Güray Vural scenarios in his
get to that
foreseeable
in a second,
future,
actually,
man.
But yeah, that's
freaking monstrous tackle with that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't. What can you say about Rafa Silva, man? Like, he's definitely the best player we've seen brought in for quite a while. I don't know how many years.
I mean, easily the best player since Quaresma, and
he's at least
he's more complete, I would say, than Quaresma. Like,
yes,
Quaresma was a born entertainer, and world class in certain aspects, but Rafa is a team player. He makes the team. Yeah, I mean, they're both fantastic talents, obviously, but he's definitely the best player we've had since Quaresma, I think.
I agree 100%. I said that on a previous episode as well. And also, because I saw my boy, the Moose, Al Musrati, getting some slack on social media.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, but not. No, just saying, he's too slow, he doesn't go into enough challenges. But I think the smarter fans are all praising him. I think Al Musrati had a few passing errors in this game, but overall, I think he played an excellent game. Every time he gets the ball, he's looking to play it forward. There's 4 exceptional forward passes I can think of. Obviously, he played tons of forward passes, a lot of good ones, but there's 4 exceptional ones I can think of that over the full game. Obviously, one of them was the one that sent Rafa Silva one-on-one with the keeper for the chance Rafa missed. And the other one was actually for this goal. It was Al Musrati that basically took us from defence to attack with a beautiful pass through to Rashica.
Yeah, he had a great match too.
They got us in that 2v3 situation. And also, just the guy's just perfect at waiting the passes as well. He played a couple of these just really fast passes out wide to Rashica, and straight away from just like in the midfield, like we had the ball in the midfield, but like if there was a better cross maybe from Rashica, like he just turned us into like a dangerous attack like that. He turned something that just seemed like a regular possession into a dangerous attack twice. He had 2 very similar passes where just very, very quickly, just very hard low passes out to the wing, and all of a sudden you've got Rashica free on the wing with plenty of space to make a cross. Sadly, he couldn't make any of them, but 2 of those great forward passes really did turn into chances. One of them, the Rafa Silva chance missed, the empty net that was cleared off the line by the defender, and the other one was him played it into Rashica, who played it into Rafa for that 3rd goal. So I think overall he had a very good game, and I think the people that are criticising, man, they just need to watch the game like more clearly. And when have we ever had a number 6 like that can start attacks for us and just turn us from defence to attack so quickly? I don't think we have had one, apart from Pjanic, but Pjanic isn't a full-on 6, he's more of a regista who doesn't really have any defensive aspect to his game at all. But Al Musrati actually does have a good positional defensive aspect to his game and actually does win a fair amount of balls. So I just wanted to highlight that, and also Rashica and Rafa getting all that praise for that 3rd goal, but Musrati also played a pivotal part in that as well.
Yeah, and when you say the one-on-one that Rafa had with the goalkeeper, I think you mean the one where he rounds the keeper, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, he maybe should have passed the semi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he put him through. It was one-on-one when Al Musrati put him through, but Rafa took it past the keeper, of course, and then it was just Rafa and a defender and semi left, and they should have passed the semi because the defender wouldn't have had a chance that way. But that's the one I was talking about. Yeah.
All right, Sinan, do you want any to add anything about the 3rd goal, or should we head into that thing you already alluded to, the red card?
Let's move on to the red card.
All right, let's have a look. That's the wrong button I pressed. My mistake. So let's have a look at that red card. Absolutely disgraceful challenge. I thought it was disgusting. I was fuming. I was livid. Let's have he gives a yellow card, and watching it live, I was like, he's at full pace. He has no intention to play the ball, whether he's hitting him with his studs or not. That is a red card. And then if you look at the replay, it's like 4 or 5 game suspension. I think that's also what the TFF need to do something like that. They need to suspend him for 3-4 games at least, because if you just give this a standard 2-game ban for a direct red card, then what message are you really sending, right? And I think as well the referee here could have done a good job at sending a proper message and sending him off straight away, because now, you leave that possibility there that VAR does not interject, right? Sinan.
Yeah, for sure.
This...
Hey, Sunshine Man is very, very curious about where I got my shirt, so I should probably answer him. I got it from Turkey. It was a birthday gift. So someone bought it from the Kartal Yuvasa and mailed it to me. So
yeah,
neither Amazon nor eBay. But maybe Kaan, maybe you want to plug your man over at Kartal Yuvasa.
Exactly. So if you if you go to kartalyuvasi.eu, Sunshine Man, you can actually order all the merch that you can buy in Turkey. Well, almost all the merch, I should say. They are a little bit behind in terms of getting like the newest collections and stuff, in terms of like normal t-shirts and stuff. But jerseys are available. You can buy the jerseys. You can buy all the Adidas original stuff. This is official from the club. So just go to kartalyuvasa.eu. They ship to America. It's 35 euros shipping to the United States, as far as I know. And of course, there is the potential of having to pay custom fees. I don't know how it works in the United States. In Belgium, whenever I order stuff from America or from Japan or something like that, I always get slapped with custom fees. So I don't know how strict they are in the United States. In Belgium, they're super strict. But yeah, so keep that in mind. But if you, let's say you order 3-4 shirts or something, or you order 2 shirts and you order maybe a vest and a pants or whatever, you know, if you put in a big order, then obviously 35 euros is not the end of the world, right? Like if you order just one shirt, then 35 euros is a lot of money, I think. I mean, it's always a lot of money, but you know what I mean? Like the bigger your order,
yeah, for sure.
You know,
the more you can legitimize paying.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're not planning on going to Turkey this summer, and you're not planning on, or none of your family is going, they can bring you a shirt back or whatever. The shirts on the EU site are actually almost the exact same price as they would be in Turkey. In Turkey, they're roughly, give or take, you know, depending on the exchange rate, 85 euros right now. On kartalyuvasa.eu, they're just below 90 euros. So you're paying 5 euros more for a shirt, but the difference is so negligible that you might as well just order there, in my opinion. Plus, they helped us out. They gave us 3 shirts to give away, so always show some love. And you know, at the end of the day, you're showing the club love because you're buying official merch at an official licensed store.
And yeah, stay tuned for the raffle winners. We'll be back soon with more information on that. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, no, I'm in contact with them, but let's see. So then we had the red cards, of course. Let's go over to the second disallowed goal, because that comes right after the red card, actually. Because the free kick...
It felt like we just iced the game and then robbed again.
So the following free kick after after the red card is... So the players that are actually offside. So you see, I went to paint and I used some of the paint tools and let my artistic side do the speaking. So upon the moment, this is where Jetson gets the ball. But Jetson, who's all the way to the right, you can see the ball above his head. He is onside. Emirhan, all the way to the left, onside. I think that's relatively clear on this picture. Now, the guys who are actually offside are the ones in the square. Now, you could argue, are they actively participating in the play? Yes or no? I think this goal should have stood. I don't think... Because that's the cheeky thing what that's the cheeky thing the VAR referees did, who give us who feed that live image to Biel. They cherry-picked in the replay. They cherry-picked one of these 2 guys who is offside to show the live viewers, oh, okay, I guess it was offside. And even yesterday in one of our group chats, one of our friends, Ege, who has been mentioned before, said, "Oh no, I saw it was offside." But no, it wasn't. Getson wasn't offside. Emirhan wasn't offside. Both those guys were onside. It's just VAR deciding to take one of the two guys that is offside, and show him as the bad guy, so to speak. And just by VAR to just make you give the impression to give you that, oh yeah, this was clear, but it really wasn't as clear cut as they make it out to be. Let us know what you think in the comments, guys. Do you think it should have been ruled offside? Sinan, what do you think? Do you think this goal should have been disallowed or should have stood? You're muted again, my friend.
Oh my god. That is so sorry. I was like yawning at one point and I didn't want to. I was trying to be polite and I keep doing the wrong thing. Anyway, I didn't think it was offside, to be 100% honest. And I'd really like to see, I wish that this technology didn't seem so like arbitrary. Even down to like when did they decide the ball is officially off? Right, and like one of the things I don't like about VAR is sometimes I feel like they wait like a couple milliseconds, like till the ball is off before they stop, they freeze frame it and then procure these images just to make make their case stronger or something. But that's not, that in the name of accuracy, I feel like their timing is always a little bit off, and it kind of allows them to cherry pick, as you say, right? They can kind of create the image that they want by, because they don't show in that image they create where the ball is relative to who let it go previously. And so they really just hyper focus on the two players. And so you really have no sense what moment they've stopped it at. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of issues with VAR, and it does seem, I mean, I still support VAR conceptually, because at least they have to make up some crap if they really, if they're really committed to it, rather than just like doing what they used to, which was just let it go. But yeah, I still feel like there are issues. I wish that we had like that Scottish guy in the booth,
yeah,
every match to like yell at the ref.
Yeah, we have our own Scottish guy on this podcast, though, Kartal. Would you have yelled at this ref? Because
of course. I would have yelled at him so much that he didn't want to referee again.
Yeah, what was his name? Was it Mehmet Türkmen or something? I think his name, something like that.
Like that.
It's one of these new guys.
I hadn't actually seen him before. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? To be honest, that was my first thoughts when I saw him. But he just had a terrible game, man. In terms of VAR, of course it has to stay. If there was no VAR, Güray wouldn't have got sent off. So that alone is a huge piece of proof as to why VAR should be there. He just had a shock over a game. Not just with the wrong yellow cards to us and not giving them yellow cards. Just the guy just, it seemed like he was really out to slow us down and kind of stop our game. It didn't work, but he definitely has done things that could affect us in the long run, disallowing 2 goals that were arguably clean, giving out BS yellow cards, especially the one to Masuaku. I mean, I don't know how you could possibly justify that, but all that to aside, do you not think he just gave off this energy of being an absolute wanker? Just with his gesture.
I often get the feeling with new referees. I often get the feeling with new refs that whenever they have a Fener or a Galatasaray game, that they're super afraid to make mistakes, or rather, super afraid to call anything against them. And I have the completely opposite feeling whenever my microphone's in the image here. I'm so, oh wait, that's only coming more in the image, whatever. But I have the complete opposite feeling whenever they're reffing our games. I feel like when they're reffing our games, they're out to make a name for themselves and assert their dominance or something.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, some of his mannerisms and his gestures were very theatrical, man.
Yeah.
So, like, I was just thinking to myself, like, what are you doing, man? You look like an absolute tit just now. The guy actually thought he looked cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree with you. I so often
He was a bad
one
bad boy.
yeah, a part of me is like, yeah, get rid of all the shit referees like Ali Palabuyuk and all those guys. You know, those were horrible. But Ali Palabuyuk, I feel like started out exactly the same as these guys, trying to make a name against Beşiktaş. I don't know why it is. Like referees, newer refs always seem to try to, yeah, like I said, make a name for themselves against us. And then whenever they have a Gala or Fener game, they're like scared little mice, and they do whatever. It's like, oh yes, I'm sorry. Did you want a penalty? Oh, go ahead. Oh, do I have to send somebody off? Is it too difficult? Are you getting too sweaty? No. So that was the disallowed goal, and then finally, of course, we did score one more goal, and this one was by none other than Ernest Muçi. But also worth mentioning, not just the goal by Ernest, so great for Muçi.
Do you believe in life after love?
And indeed, Cher made an appearance. What an assist by Cher Ndour. And not just the assist, but also he came in and he showed multiple neat things, didn't he, Kartal?
Yeah, I thought Ndour was very, very good. He showed a great account of himself. He should be very happy with that performance. He looks to be very tidy with the ball. Good touch, very good pass about him, especially with the assist that we saw. But outside of that, he was always playing the ball quick, always playing it forward, always accurate with his passes. I think the whole time he was on there was like one time he get dispossessed when he trying to dribble someone. Apart from that, he played a near perfect game. And to top off what was already very impressive debut, where he was shown, I mean, he even turned someone at one point and was playing all these nice passes, always forward, always accurate, as I said. But the chef's kiss, the cherry on top of the cake to finish it all off, was a beautiful trivela pass from very, very deep in the midfield to, I mean, it might have even been from our own half. Was that right? I think it was from our own half.
I think it was.
Pass. And that was just the cherry on top of the cake, I think, and what was a great cameo debut performance for Cher Ndour. Quite funny that it was a trivela because he was interviewed just like all the new signings are. Like one of the first things the Beşiktaş YouTube channel does like an interview with the new signing and just ask them some questions that like normally about 7-8 minutes long, and they'll put it up on the YouTube channel. And in that interview, he was asked about obviously our legend, our icon, Ricardo Quaresma, and he says that he was a fan of Quaresma, and he said that his trivelas were always amazing. They always stuck out for me. And then on his debut, a few days later, he's given this perfect trivela pass, perfect trivela through ball from his own half to assist Elche. I mean, you couldn't write it. It was beautiful.
One other little note, it's sort of a random thought, but I thought it was kind of cool that you had Muçi on the breakaway go left, and you had Rafa Silva on a similar play go right. And you know that they're both so talented and they play a similar role, and I think people are kind of worried about Muçi getting playing time, but you know, I think it was kind of a neat little metaphor for what they both offer and how they're not exactly the same, but they have, you know, they bring a lot of similar things to the pitch. And so like if Rafa Silva, you know, needs a spell, or, you know, heaven forbid if he gets injured, you know, you do have a very suitable backup in the way of Muçi. And I thought, you know, he did a nice little job of showing that in that moment he had. It was a hell of a finish, you know, to put it by the keeper, you know, far post the way he did. So, yeah, lovely way to cap the game. And obviously now we're all excited to see what Cher Ndour provides going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like you mentioned, great finish by Muçi. And also good to see him get minutes finally. It wasn't a lot of minutes though, but hopefully the goal, and also not just the goal, but I think he got involved. He worked hard. I think he was also kind of trying to prove a point. At a certain point, I think he might have lost the ball or something, and then he really worked super hard to win it back. and he was combative. And yeah, I'm kind of two minds when it comes to Muçi. It's like we paid 10 million euros for him. If he's gonna be mainly a squad depth guy, we should probably sell him right now. On the other hand, the season is going to be really long, and if Rafa has to take more of those types of tackles and he gets injured, or he just pulls a hamstring when he's doing one of his insane sprints, God forbid, knock on wood, it doesn't happen, but the chance is always there. Maybe he gets a suspension, whatever. He gets ill, he gets the flu, he gets a stomach flu, whatever. You will need a quality backup, and I think Ernest Muçi is of course a great quality player, and he's the only number 10 in our squad right now. So, I mean, obviously Cher Ndour can play as a more attacking-minded midfielder, but you have to be realistic as well. Muçi is more like almost a second striker, and that's essentially what Rafa does too. Rafa is our second striker. How many runs he makes in behind. He works a lot and he helps a lot, but I think Muçi is closer to the same role as Rafa. Obviously, they have very different skill sets, but I think there's nobody else in the squad that comes close to Rafa's role. Closer.
I mean, the only player that could do a similar job to Rafa, obviously Muçi isn't as good as Rafa, but the only player that could do a similar job in our team is Muçi. Any other player plays instead of Rafa in that midfield, you need to play a different system, because just now we're playing a 4-2-3-1, where Rafa is essentially like a second striker just in behind Immobile. But if you don't play Muçi and you swap out that midfield, say you bring in Cher, or if you bring in, say, Sarjuchan or Demirega Tiknas, you're going to have to change it to like a 4-3-3 instead of a 4-2-3-1. You're going to have to play with 2 8s rather than a 6 and 8 and a 10. So the natural replacement to Rafa is Muçi, and I think we saw that with this goal as well. I mean, in a way, it's quite similar to the goals that Rafa scored against Samsun, and the goal he scored again last night against Antalya, where Muçi still had a bit of running to do. Had a bit of running to do, still had to get on goal, do the finish. There were similar goals in a way, like the runs in behind that caused the goals, and obviously they were found by great passes each time. So there were similar goals, and I think Muçi is the guy that could do that, and the only natural replacement to Rafa, if God forbid anything was to happen to him, or we just wanted to maybe rotate.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
totally.
Exactly. And yeah, also something worth mentioning, I feel like last season we had a severe lack of passes through the middle. And so far this season, I mean, Kartal has already highlighted it, Musrati's forward passes. But now we got Cher Ndour giving those types of passes. We got Rasička giving a great through ball. And like we have a lot more. I feel like over the last few seasons, we've been so one-faceted, and we only attack like over the right, or we only attack over the left, or whatever. Now we're coming from all angles, and it's just so difficult to defend. And, we didn't quite 100% know what to make of Cher Ndour yet, because he has played so little, and it's very difficult to find good information on him. But what we saw from him now in, 25 minutes or so, give or take, I mean, you can already see that's a player that could potentially really contribute a lot for depth purposes. But also, it makes it interesting to see what's going to happen with Sarjuchan. What's going to happen with who else do we have in that midfield rotation? Jean Onana.
Although he's still probably more of the sixth. I guess,
but he was also the guy coming in off the bench in the previous 2 games. He was the guy coming on for Simi in the 60-odd minute or whatever it was. And now it was Ndour coming on. So we have a decent amount of depth now in our midfield. Yeah. And I think, that's something we were complaining about, the lack of depth. But in our midfield, I think right now we are good. It's just the fullbacks we need, and a winger, and we'll talk about that in a second, actually, because we might have somebody.
Yeah, we got maybe some news.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's been an update since we went live.
It's not maybe. Sinan, I mean, Fairs spoke about it today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I mean maybe it's. I wonder if there's been anything made official since we went live. I think we have to wait for like the Muleka domino to fall.
We probably would have been spammed if that was true.
That's true.
Sinan, anything to add, or do you want to just continue with the comments already?
Yeah.
We should probably move on, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it was a great match. For me personally, like, you can't hold what the ref did against us, right? Because people are like, oh, it should have been 6-2, and frankly, it was. It was 6-2, and the ref screwed us. And we did everything we could to make it 6-2. So I don't like. As far as people saying we should have been more ruthless, maybe, obviously we would love to see like 100% efficiency, but we were obviously efficient enough.
We're already
that we
really
won
efficient.
Convincingly.
I saw a stat yesterday.
Exactly.
I think we have 16 shots on goal or something in our 3 games, and we have like 12 goals or something. Is that right? Yeah. And we scored 5 against
and
Gala.
we won.
No, we scored 11 goals, didn't we? So yeah, something like that.
No, and we won convincingly, right? It's not. There was no doubt as to how this was going to go. And I again, like in the replay that I watched last night, it was because I could watch it with more of a clear head. It was obvious that we were the dominant side. It's not that they were down a man that they won, right? Like that we won. That we won because we were the better side, like throughout the match. Also, and even when they scored, even when they equalized at 2-2, I think most of us were kind of like, okay, whatever, big deal, dude. We're gonna fucking score again. Just make sure we don't keep letting them score. The only thing
was that at 3-2, then we started taking off Ciro, we took off Rafa, and maybe if they don't go down to 10, they can mount more of a final offensive, because we only scored the 4th goal in added time. So it's always possible that they, like Gustepe did against Fener, hit you. Or do you remember like years ago, I think against Akisar or something, in added time, Theophanis Gekas scoring an equalizer in added time against us. Like, there's always those possibilities. So the thing is, I think we definitely played. We were by far the better team. We deserved to win 100%. But if you leave it like that, with only 1 goal in it, you always set yourself up for a potential heartbreak, like Fener on the weekend, and like we've had plenty of times in the past. So it's a little risky. It never really felt like we were going to concede, other than, I think in like the 85th minute, they got like a free kick. And I was like, oh, let it not happen. Please let it not happen. Because even when a team isn't really creating anything against you, it only takes 1 ball to fall in the right place and you concede. And
of course.
That's football, right? That's the beauty of football, but also
that's
the tragedy.
The heart attack inducing aspect of football. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, all right, but let's move on to the comments. Sorry for folks.
I wanted to have some closing comments about the game. Sorry, Sinan, if you don't mind.
Not at all, yeah.
But one thing I wanted to kind of hit home about us in this game, and the thing that really excites me the most, and we've seen this in the friendlies, like against Grazer and against Avigny. We saw it to a degree against Galatasaray. We didn't see it against Samsun, but we saw it last night in chance creation. And it's something we've struggled with over the last couple of years, but now we're really thriving with it. I mean, we spoke at length about the goals, but we vaguely touched upon the empty net that Rafa missed, that he should have squared to semi because the defender was in the way, and if squared it, the defender would have been taken out of the equation as well. But I mean, Rafa missed a great chance on the header as well before we even equalised. Rashika had a good chance that was well saved. Obviously, there was a chance that I was talking about with Rafa that should have squared. Jedson had a good chance. Mustafa Erhan Hekimoğlu had a good chance.
Oh yeah, he should have put that one away.
I mean,
I actually thought he did really well on that chance, because he waited a little bit longer so the goalkeeper would take an extra step.
He gave himself, he gave himself the channel to put it away, and then just barely missed.
He did well, but he couldn't put it home. But I actually thought he did really well.
should have passed it,
Yeah.
man. Really should have squared it. But
Yeah. You should have
but-
squared it. But in terms of setting himself up for the finish,
I mean, that you've got the 4 goals, you've got the 2 that disallowed, and then I've counted another 5 positions there.
yeah.
2 from Rafa, 1 from Jedson, 1 from Rashika, 1 from Mustafa Erhan.
Yeah.
So that's 9 positions, and then if you count the 2 disallowed goals, that's 11. Like, if we are creating that amount of chances a game on a regular basis, we're going to be really hard to beat. And there's one thing I want to hit home as well. See, some of our combination play is brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, obviously we're having some of them are more kind of like quick attacks, like just direct, like one great ball completely drops opposition out of the game. But other times we're combining really well. I mean, look at like the first goal, it was Rafa to Rashika to
Ciro.
Immobile with a great finish. And then those other ones where on the right hand side especially we're combining very well, like Rafa, Svensson, Ashika, Immobile, Jedson at times as well, combining very well. Just these quick intricate passes leading to chances for like Ashika and Jedson and stuff. Like we're just hurting teams in a lot of different ways, and what we saw with the disallowed goals, we're hurting teams with crosses as well, down the middle, down the right, down the left. Really, we're doing really well, and the amount of chances we're creating for me is very promising, because it's something we've struggled with a lot over the last couple of years, which I mentioned earlier. Another thing I want to touch upon as well, I think Milo Rashika, someone wrote this on Twitter, and now I've had a think about it, I agree. I think last night he played his best game ever in a Beşiktaş shirt. I don't know what you two think.
He was fantastic. There's no doubt about that.
2 assists. It was very.
I mean, I feel like he's scored. Hasn't he had scored a couple screamers too, though? Like I don't.
Yeah, but
I guess it's hard to compare to like all of his whole.
I think
oeuvre, but
like he scored a screamer. He's had some good games, but I think that was his best game. I think he was exceptional.
Could be.
Maybe.
It's definitely up for debate.
It was good for
sure.
sure.
It could be.
I didn't think like. You know what? I mean, let's do it this way. Who was your man of the match, Kartal, for you? Who was the man of the match for you?
That's so hard. Everyone was good.
Gotta pick one. Gun to your head. Wait.
It's too hard. I think Jedson's up there because he ran his heart out and actually done well in the passing game. Obviously, Immobile scored 2 goals. He's up there. Sraj, I think, was the secret hero of the game. Rashika was good.
So you've got Rashica up as a possible man of the match.
I think 2 goals.
Gun to your head, Kartal.
Oh my gosh! What?
I think for me, Rashika, man. I'm gonna go with him.
Rashika?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably, I think there's too many, man. Like I had Jedson, Rashika, Immobile in my head.
Rafa.
I mean, Rafa was very good as well.
You know I'm a Terminator. You know I'm a Terminator fan, right? Sinan?
Yeah, so I'm going with Rashika, man, for this game. But obviously Rafa as well. Yeah.
Sinan, who's your man of the match?
For me, I was going to say it's between Rafa and Immobile again. As it was last week, and last week I gave it to Rafa. So just in the name of inclusion, I thought I'd give it to Cheetah this week, just because it could go either way. Like I don't feel like he wouldn't deserve it. Even if theoretically, I think Rafa could have had slightly more of an impact, but I don't know the way Cheetah did it, the kind of leadership he exhibited as well. I've got it.
Yeah. I'm still gonna give it to Rafa, man. Like.
Yeah.
He was he was instrumental in the first goal, scored the 3rd goal. And yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Of course, he could have scored more. He had that header. If he puts that on target, it's probably a goal. And he has that position where he goes around the keeper. But I think actually that position, everyone's saying like, yeah, he should have squared it to Semi for the easy tap in. And yeah, 100% that was the main correct decision to make. But don't forget, he has the wherewithal to, with an on-rushing goalkeeper, play it around him, go around him, split decision. And then he already made one split decision. I think he probably kind of lost his overview and then shot. What I think he could have done secondary, rather than square to semi, is cut it back and shoot it in, because the defender is rushing to the goal line. Yeah. He's not going to stop his run. If you cut it back, he's going to slide into the net already, and you can just slot it home. So he had two better options. One is square to semi, and the second one is just cut it back and shoot, because the goalkeeper's never going to get back, with his pace, with Rafa's pace. But like I said, he's instrumental to the first. He is, he scores the third, and such a handful. He forces that red card. It's a tough one, man. Ciro was really good too, but again, I kind of feel like Ciro in the second half maybe runs out of gas a little bit.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
But I'm gonna give it to Rafa, but I think luxury problem for us, right?
There's no wrong answer today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments who you think should have been the man of the match.
Rafa, the guy scored a goal, got into two great scoring opportunities other than the goal he scored. Gave the pre-assist for the first goal. And also, I think there was 3 or 4 times they stopped him with a foul, and if that didn't happen, the guy's probably maybe getting an assist or scoring again. Every time he gets the ball at his feet, it's dangerous.
Yeah, he's just such a handful. I don't remember. I think Dusan Tadic had moments last season where whenever he had the ball, you kind of felt the same, like something's going to happen. He's probably going to give an assist or he's going to score something. Mainly an assist, because he's more an assister than a goal scorer. Like, most of his goals come from a penalty, I think. But yeah, Dusan Tadic last season at points really felt very similar, almost unstoppable. But Rafa is unplayable when he's like this. I can't really think of a single player in Turkey, at least, that resembles him like that. Alex was amazing, but very different style. Just, Rafa is, when he gets the ball, he runs at you. What do you do? If he knocks it past you and he runs, who's gonna catch up to him? I don't know. He's
It's worth noting too that Dusan Tadic is 35, whereas Rafa's only 31. Right? We get.
Yeah.
It feels like we really scored big on this one. It was a heist.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's probably wrap this thing up. Just a heads up to folks listening: we are going to be posting an extended interview talking about Lugano. So stay planted in your seats. But I don't know. We should probably do these. Let's do these comments
while I put my gun away. You can do the comments.
Yeah, before you get us kicked off of YouTube. Anyway. So we should be fuming. It sucks. We did Mert Gunok. Beşiktaş can win the Europa League. It's difficult, but possible. I'm sorry. I guess no. Back one. Umer Gunal says Masuaku came on, jumps for an air ball, and all of a sudden I see the ref running to give him a yellow. Meanwhile, the guy clipped our player on the counter, and he just gave a foul with no card. Yeah, referee was terrible. I feel like we've flogged that horse to death. Orhan Beşiktaş can win Europa League. It's difficult, but possible. Winning Turkish League is sometimes more difficult than Europa League, as 75% of referees is Galatasaray fans in Turkish League. That's certainly true. Plus, we've got Giovan Brankhorst, who's the trophy winner, Mr. Trophy Man. So anyway, continuing, Mario. That's unfortunately true about refs. Yes, indeed. Orhan, again, the referee was too ambitious to show cards to Beşiktaş players, as is usually the case, I would say. Mario, I like our chances in the Europa League. Orhan says on both goals. In the first goal, he should have been keeping the closer bar. Oh, I think he's talking about Orhan was the one criticizing Mert, I think, right? Then Grey Wolf says it seemed Beşiktaş were playing with 10 men instead of Antalyaspor. I don't know what you mean. Jason says, I've got a feeling Sociedad will do it and win the UEL. It's always Spanish team or Italian teams. That's true. Sevilla can't win the Europa League, right? They're not in with a shout this year. Grey Wolf, when will the team sell players? Too many players on the team. Yeah, although we've got it down, I think we only need to sell like 2, right? We need to get rid of Oxen and Marte, and we're at the level, and then add Muleka to that list, or Abu, or someone else, and then we have room
preferably
for
both,
our right wing. Yeah, then we can get maybe another foreign left back too. But so we're actually we're making ground. I just saw somewhere that we've already let go of 22 players, which, you know, I think we'd all like to have seen perhaps a little more money coming our way for some of those players. But, you know, all the same, you know, that's they've been busy. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, we didn't get any money, but of course you offload a lot of wages that way. But
that's right.
That's just a consequence of very bad running the club very poorly for the last couple of years. That you're stuck with a lot of surplus players.
Stockpiling foreigners that can't really break the rotation. It's never a good idea. Anyway, Mario winning an international trophy will elevate Beşiktaş to another level. We need this in social media era. Oh, I think they're like replying to each other. Mm-hmm. And then how do I find my jersey? We've covered that. Grey Wolf, do you think VAR is helping curb bad calls, especially against BJK and the rest of the league? It's obvious they always say for God today. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that quite a bit already. And I talked about how I think like the way they stop replays and apply these rules could be better. I'd still, though, argue VAR is better than nothing, because then the refs will just wave everything away.
VAR is a net positive, but like, I don't know if you guys watched the Fener game against Göztepe. Like, at a certain point, Saint Maximin does a tackle with studs with a not high foot, but his foot is off the ground, hits the guy on his leg with studs. 100% red card. He gets a yellow, and VAR does nothing. Like, that's the type of things where I'm like, what's going on? Like, how do you miss that? A blind man can see that's a red card. Like, there's no discussion. It's 100% red, and they just don't do anything.
And Umer backs you up there. He says, I'm tired of these spineless refs that are too scared to do any major calls without VAR approving for them. What's happened to the refs that could stand behind their calls? We have cowards now. Yeah, I mean, the idea that they would take so long to review that obvious red was just egregious. It was terrible. Now we're talking about jerseys. Boy, guys, you guys are all over the place with the chat. So for US, these jerseys are cheaper than NHL, NBA, or NFL. Yeah, roughly. I mean, I will say that if these football jerseys are $100 now, with, you know, when you get a name and a number plus shipping, it's actually for me now a little bit more than an NBA jersey, which is about $125. So
but when you think about it, Sinan, in terms of the economy of the whole thing, you're getting less for your money with an NBA top as is sleeveless.
Are we calculating fabric per inch or something? But I guess you could argue that there may be slightly higher quality.
Fibers.
There's 2 layers of fabric there, so they're using double.
Sometimes you've got those NBA shirts you can turn inside out, and it turns into the away kit.
Oh,
right?
there you go.
It's fancy.
There you go. Continuing, the referee was horrible. Agreed. Grey Wolf. Mehmet Turkmen. Yeah, we talked about that. That's the ref's name. Umer, they are not afraid of us. That's the issue. He's talking about the refs.
Add him to the list, Sinan. Mehmet Turkmen, add him to your list.
Yeah, might as well. The shit list. The hit list.
We should make a
They're
graphic.
Not afraid of us.
We should make a graphic of
I know,
shit
with
list.
like Arya. I want like Arya Stark like reading her like list from her. You know, we need a scene of that. Like, we need to with my face photoshopped on top of her. Anyway. They are not afraid of us, as we said. You look at penalties given to us versus them. We got like 1/4 the amount they got per season. Kaan, maybe next week you want to pull out your. Kaan did a really thorough analysis of this last season, and he found that mathematically, statistically, it's fact.
I actually went back to as far as the data goes to 1986, I believe it is. The amount of penalties received by clubs I could actually bring it up on my words, like, you know, like Galatasaray and Fenerbahce have like 100 more penalties than we do or something. It's absolutely insane. It's just
Crazy.
And I even, because the argument that a Fener or a Galatasaray fan will make is usually like, oh yeah, but that's because we're, you know, we attack more, blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I went and checked like how many times we finished in the top 3 compared to the other ones, and we were like on the same point of Gala and like far and like ahead of Fener even. So it's like, yeah, man, that argument, I'm sorry, but that doesn't. No,
it's anyone with eyes and like just any mild aversion towards objectivity, or not aversion, proclivity for objectivity would obviously. I mean, it's not debatable, man. They have such an advantage, and I mean, just watching that game, it was infuriating. You could see them trying to cook up a result, even though we were so obviously the better side. They're just trying to.
This is penalty,
and like you can probably tell.
See, I've got the document open right now, by the way. So this is data.
Oh, yeah?
I haven't updated it since last season, but this goes back to the 1986-1987 season. So Fenerbahce, and they've gotten one this season already, and so have Galatasaray. So not counting the penalties from this season, Fenerbahce, since 1986, 305 penalties. Galatasaray, 308 penalties. Beşiktaş, 243. Trabzonspor, 213. So we have more than 60 penalties less than both of them. No, that's a systematical difference of like, wait, what is that? That's 60 penalties over 1986. How much is that? Let's see. We are in 2023. We'll do 2024 minus 1986. That's wait. So we've got 4 years. That's 28 years, right? Am I mistaken? It's 28 years. So let's call it.
Who wrote this? Clear words from our bald black eagle, directed at BN Sports.
I know, but that's an average of 2.32 penalties less per season.
I'm not bald. What is that? Was that Yasin? What are you tweeting, bro? He's mad because I called out his Arsenal fandom. Dual loyalty.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess because bald eagle is like the U.S. eagle.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a terrible phrasing, Yasin. Fix that, please. Jesus, man. Bald black eagle. Anyway, yeah. I mean, the penalty discrepancy is absurd.
Yeah, I mean,
frankly, we could probably sue. It's terrible.
It's systematically. Oh, it's 38 years, not 28 years. I'm stupid. That's that's like 2 penalties a season that you just don't get.
Crazy.
That they get more than you do. And as we know, a penalty can make the difference between winning the league and not. Especially like 2 penalties. It's actually not 2.
Yeah.
It's like it's more like 1.7 at the moment, but yeah, you get the idea, guys.
Yes. So anyway, continuing on with the comments, the pass. Denny said the pass had a curve towards the side. His first touch was so good. If it wasn't for that defender, was going to catch on to him. Yeah, I mean that pass by Cher was fantastic. I was going to say life after love. That pass was life after love. Anyway, continuing. Boy, was I behind the times. $175. Sunshine Man, Beşiktaş. Knicks. The NBA jerseys are $125. I guess maybe he means NFL or NHL.
Yeah, I think he's an NHL fan because they would. I think.
Yeah, maybe that's a hockey jersey.
Yeah, he was talking about hockey. I think last week, so I think he might be.
Talk about fabric, Kartal. Those hockey jerseys have a lot of fabric.
That is true. That is true.
It's cold on the. Like it's an ice rink, so it's cold. I think maybe that's why.
Yeah. Continuing, Orhan says, guys, I feel... Did I miss something? No, I feel if Beşiktaş will be champions or not at the beginning of the season, what has been flowing by is the breeze of Beşiktaş, the next champion. That's poetic, Orhan, though I'm not sure I'm following your thought on that, but nonetheless, your next point, which is that Rafa will be MVP, is 100% correct.
If Rafa becomes the MVP, we win the league, right, Sinan? Come on.
That's true, because, I mean, the winner gets the MVP, right? But yeah, I mean, I sure hope we win the league. I mean, yeah, things are looking great. Continuing, Dennis says, we need Muçi for sure. Rafa rotation is a great role for him. He'll develop a lot from that competition. Yeah, we hadn't even really thought about that, but even just them training together and, him modeling his game off of Rafa.
He needs to get more playing time, I think. Obviously, he hadn't gotten a single minute before, and now he's gotten, 10 minutes maybe, or 5 minutes and change. So...
Yeah. Uma then says, guys, there's a massive red flag staring at us all. If Paulista gets injured, we're going to see Emirhan or Kali Necip do in the back. That's a huge drop in quality. Yeah, I mean, it is, but I feel personally that Kali is more than good enough to be a backup. And I already feel that Emirhan could be starting caliber. I think people have sort of written off Tayyip Talha as well, and I think he's probably more than capable as a backup.
Well, I mean, is it people writing him off, or is it the coaches, Sinan? Because, Gio isn't the first coach to barely use him. Even said that Toprak Tepe, when he got the reins again, didn't use him. So...
I mean, to be fair, he played a lot in the preseason. Although, so yesterday, who were our central defenders on the bench?
Necip was on the bench, and...
was it...
I don't know. I think Necip was the... I don't know if there was another central
defender. Was he the only one?
Because Tayyip Talha wasn't on the bench.
Yeah,
Seems
it wasn't.
Like
That's confusing.
An issue with Tayyip since his injury. Although I thought he looked good in the first few games he played after the injury. But then obviously that...
Does this not show the bench?
Lost the Pendic, and then since then he's not really played at all. And as Kaan said, it wasn't just Santos that didn't favour him, neither did Sardar Toprak Tepe when he got the reins back, and now it's been the same with Gio as well. He's not even made the matchday squad the last 2 weeks. So do you think there's definitely a problem with him regaining his fitness and getting that sharpness back?
Like I said, man, we should have loaned him to Rize. When we got Emirhan, we should have loaned him to Rize. Look, Amir. Actually, I should mention this. Amir mentioned this actually already in the VIP audio podcast. But Amir it wasn't his debut. It was his home debut. Yeah, he came on as a sub. Was it a home debut? Well, anyway, no, it was away. It was away against Antalyaspor. He came on as a sub, and he immediately set up their second goal. Rizespor's second goal with a fantastic cross pass.
I think that was his debut.
No, I think he came on the week before.
Was that already. This week?
Yeah, that was this.
Oh, okay. So I didn't even know this week. Didn't he assist? Whatever.
No, I don't think so. But he had a great pass. So definitely, if you go and if you have the BN Sports app, you can just watch all the highlights and stuff. Highly recommend you just get that one. Watch the highlights on your phone. Then you don't have to listen to all those crazy Turkish commentators on TRT or whatever.
BN USA though, I got my eyes on you, BN USA. I'm considering the move to Digiturk.
Yeah. Go and watch the Çaykur Rize, Adana Demirspor Çaykur Rizespor highlights if you want to see Amir's fantastic pass.
Continuing, Umer. Boy, you're very active in the chat today, Umer. 11 goals scored, 2 conceded in 3 games. Yeah, great. Whatever. We could argue about whether or not we include the Super Cup, but yeah, certainly, as far as the competitive match goes. Yeah, why not? Grey Wolf, even the coach said the team should have played better in the second half, especially when they went to 10 men. I think that's when we were being really positive about the performance. He wanted to
I think he's
shed a negative light on it.
He's right.
But we could have been better.
We definitely took our foot off the gas pedal a little bit, and I agree with him. I think if it's 4-2 and you take your foot off the gas pedal, that's fine, because then you don't run the risk of one ball falling in the wrong place and conceding at the end. But at 3-2, I think you should press for the second, for that that 2-goal deficit, and then you can start relaxing.
What minute was it that the second goal was called off? The second Emirhan.
That was right after.
Because you count
that was right after the red card, so that must have been like the 65th minute or something.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that goes in, right? Then, I mean, if the ref doesn't screw us.
Of course.
But anyway, whatever.
We don't actually kill them, right? We don't suffocate them completely after they go down to 10. Should have scored the fourth one quicker, I think. I think Grey Wolf is right about that.
Continuing. So far, our tempo drops massively after the 60th minute. So even if they're 10 men, we are not pushing as hard as the first 60. I think once the conditioning is fixed, we'll see improvements even there. Yeah, we can hope for that for sure. That's about the gun. He said Khan's trying to get the channel perma-banned. Umer, St. Max tackles a red if it was Nejib doing it. Yeah, I mean, again, we've sort of done the ref thing to death. Okay, 100% more penalties.
Just for the record, by the way, that was not a real gun. That was actually a Nerf gun.
Yeah. Tell that to the YouTube moderators, friend. No, I'm kidding. Grey Wolf, do you remember the season BJK was 15 points up at the second half of the season, and the first game they gave us 5 red cards.
11 points, but yes.
Orhan, no statistics occur randomly. Statistics reflect accumulated numbers. They talk about some facts. Yeah. No, the Khan's numbers are pretty damning as far as the TFF not being very objective. I said that I'm able to feel if Beşiktaş will win the title in the league at the beginning of the season. Beşiktaş will be champion this season. Sometimes you just feel, you know.
Let's hope so.
I said that I am able to feel if Beşiktaş... I see what you're saying. So you mean you're able to feel that Beşiktaş is going to win the title? Yeah, I mean, let's hope so, man. Like, I think we're all feeling pretty good.
I mean,
pretty good.
See what you did there, Larry.
What? Last comment. Come on, last comment. Most of the stuff I say is replies to live conversations you guys have, but because you guys back the comments like 20 minutes later, look like I'm rambling on. No, Umer, I didn't mean to make you feel bad. Honestly, we love the comments.
Yeah.
We appreciate everything everyone has to say, and you were right just about everything you said. So please keep it coming. We love it. Yeah. If anything, it's an indictment against everybody else. You guys should be talking more.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, guys. Kidding. Keep it coming. So that's it, I think, for our coverage on the game. But, Sinan, we should still talk about a little bit of news that we have. It's not a lot, but...
Yeah, there's the right winger.
First and foremost, let's talk about Jackson Mulek. Is my camera suddenly super bright, by the way? It's like a...
Yeah, you look a little. I mean, it's good. You're lit up.
Anyway, so according to Yay Sabuncuoğlu, remember last week we reported what he reported, and that was that Beşiktaş had received an offer from a Russian club, and that it was actually a concrete transfer offer, not a loan offer. And Beşiktaş had told Al Khalud that they would stop the negotiations for the loan, but that if they would match the offer, they were welcome to then, talk to Jackson or whatever. And now, yesterday, Yay Sabuncuoğlu reported that after consideration, Al Khalud have decided to put in an official bid for Jackson Muleka, so an actual transfer offer, so not a loan offer. So that's the latest on Muleka's situation. And then there's this. We are reportedly very close to the following man, Angelo Gabriel, to 19-year-old Brazilian, right winger, left-footed, played the past season on loan at Strasbourg, played 20-odd games, I believe, first 11 appearances, got 3 assists. Kartal, I think you looked into him a little bit in terms of statistics. What can you tell us about this guy?
I also watched a highlights video as well. It was a 12-minute clip by, I think, World of Football, the page is called, which was quite cool because it gave you like a bit of a fact sheet about him, like what kind of player he is. They described him as a playmaking winger, which I think we've all been on the record of saying is what we need. So it's a signing I'm excited about because like
if it happens.
Chelsea sign, if it happens, of course. Chelsea won't sign any old Brazilian for 15 million. If Chelsea's brought them in, I think there is going to be something about them.
So they paid 15 for him.
Yeah, that's right. But I did look at his stats for Startsbox last year. And the thing that stood out to me the most was the fact that he didn't play a lot. It was only like 11 starts, 21 games, and he had 3 assists. But per 90 minutes, he created 2.15 chances per 90. So to me, that shows that, like, although he only had 3 assists, it's shown that he actually is creating the chances in the games, and maybe his teammates were struggling to put them away. So that's a positive for him. And I watched like that highlight video. Obviously, I can't say I know everything about this player by watching a 12-minute clip, but one thing that I could say very confidently is that he's a very good dribbler that's very strong. And he doesn't lose the ball easily. He can take it past players fairly easily, it seems. And on the right-hand side, he's left-footed, so he enjoys cutting in. Like someone that we all know and love, Rashid Ghazal. Like, from what I've seen, the delivery's not maybe on that Ghazal level, but it's good. Mm-hmm. But he does enjoy cutting in when on the right, cutting in on the left, and making a pass, either a through ball or an early cross. He enjoys doing that from the right, cutting in onto his left foot. So that actually would you not say that kind of reminds you of Ghazal a wee bit? So what I'd say from the very small sample size I saw is someone like Ghazal, but a better dribbler, faster. I'd say stronger as well, with a good delivery, but not on that top class level that Ghazal has. So I think it's a very promising profile, especially when you consider this boy's only 19 years old, doesn't turn 20 till December. It could be a very, very exciting prospect for us, especially the talk is saying that there will be a buy option, so this could be a very exciting transfer for us. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts as well. One more thing, I want to say is I think with how good Rishik has started this season, played a great game last night, I think it was important to sign someone that could complement him but not completely kind of put him in their shadow. So I think that was a good move as well, to sign someone that could complement him and not someone that's going to completely make him redundant, which Sinan actually did say off there. But I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts as well. I've rambled on enough about my limited knowledge of the player.
Yeah, so Sinan, let's get your thoughts first on this potential transfer.
I like it. I like the profile. I think given what we've all just seen of Cher Ndour in a very small window, right, that can give us a nice feeling about what we're getting. Playing these young kids as perhaps depth. He could challenge Rashica for a starting role. I like the option to buy. And similarly to Cher Ndour, right, we've heard that Hassan Arat has links to
Chelsea,
PSG, Chelsea, right? So it's getting the ball rolling on starting to do business of this nature with
starting
them.
to make true on some of those election promises, that we'd work together.
Keep checking those boxes. Yeah. Exactly. No, and then I think you look at like just Chelsea's whole situation in general, right? There's videos of their training room, and it's like a high school auditorium. It's just full of kids. So yeah, it's a kind of good team to have this link with, as far as maybe nabbing young talent, before they catch on, since they just seem to be stockpiling it so much. So yeah, it's a great potential move. Another thought, he's a Portuguese speaker, right? He's Brazilian, so that's someone for Rafa Silva to communicate with on the pitch and maybe help raise in the same way that for Ciro Immobile and Cher Ndour, you have the same, the Italian connection in that sense. So
he speaks Portuguese too. I think he gave his interview in Portuguese.
But so my point being that you're filling out the roster with guys who have the ability to communicate with other guys on the pitch already, with guys who they can maybe make personal connections with, the leaders on the team, and help, raise well, give them good ideas going forward for their career and whatnot. So, I feel, it's a well considered move. We obviously need that position as well. Yeah, I have no negative comments.
Yeah,
I will say, and obviously we'll see what happens. But I like that, again, it's like he could come in and start immediately if he has that ability, or Rashica can stay there if he doesn't quite cut the mustard. He needs a little time to settle.
Yeah, for sure. Something worth mentioning as well with him is something that really stood out to me is, so he's born in December of 2004. And this kid made his debut for Santos in 2020.
Yeah.
2020. So he was 15 he was probably 15 years old when I'm not 100% sure on that, but he was like 15 or 16 years old when he made his debut for Santos. And Santos, Santos haven't been as good in recent years as they used to be, but it's still one of the major clubs in Brazil. That's pretty massive, like. Yeah. And like Kartal said, they paid 15 million. Chelsea paid 15 million for him. But then Chelsea are in a position right now where they really need to offload players. So I don't know. Right now the report is loan, but I think Chelsea want to sell, and perhaps that's why it's not done yet. Maybe Beşiktaş are negotiating. Chelsea, if they're very desperate to get players off the books because they got 60 odd players on their books, they might actually end up selling him cheaper than they bought him. So if we can snap him up for maybe 12 or so, I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Yeah, and then who knows? Again, given the need they have to sort of offload so many players, maybe you can then even talk it down to like 7 next summer. So yeah, it puts us in a. Probably not, yeah, but you know what I mean.
Especially
maybe 10,
keep in mind if he has a good season, like
that's true.
Those two, who I'm talking about, will be all over him like flies on a pile of horse dung. Ugh. So you know what I mean.
Yeah, we'll have to probably pay up front just to avoid any drama. Anyway, guys, so before we're not leaving. Remember,
wait, before you do anything like that, let's. I have stuff in my head, bro. Let me do something before we do that. So, like Sinan was already going to do there, I was gonna steal my thunder. We do have something very special for you in store. The Europa League Lugano playoff. However, before we do that, let's talk about the Black Eagle VIP one more time before we head off. So, guys, for $1.99 a month, if you go to patreon.com/Beşiktaş podcast, you can become a Black Eagle VIP member, and you can even try it out for free for 7 days. No commitment required. Just if you don't like what you're getting, just opt out. But for the price of a cup of coffee, or even less than a cup of coffee, because I'm not a coffee drinker, Sinan, you are. I know you're a coffee drinker, and Kartal, I think you're a coffee drinker. I don't know how much you guys are paying for a coffee nowadays.
I'd say a good cortado was about $5.
Oh,
so.
There you go. So for just $1.99 a month, you'll essentially get an additional more than right now. I'm doing it more than once a week. Black Eagle VIP podcast. They're usually like between 10 to 30 minute episodes. I do them on match days. And depending on how much the demand for it becomes, we might do more often, or me and Kartal can do it because it's easier for us to line up schedules and all that. But anyway, if you want to support the podcast, you want to help us to keep doing what we're doing, to improve our hardware, whatever, all that kind of stuff, maybe do some more giveaways in the future where we don't rely on kartal.eu to actually gift us stuff to give away, but we can actually just give it away ourselves. Join our Patreon program for just $1.99 a month. You won't regret it, I promise you. Then will do it for this part of the podcast. But Sinan, we have something very special in store for our viewers, don't we?
Yes, we definitely do. And actually, Kaan, so you misunderstood. I wasn't pulling the plug. I was gonna actually pass the mic one more time. I thought this could be a fun conversation to conclude things on. So Grey Wolf asks, do you think Mourinho will be gone in 6 months? My answer is no, because I think they're going to do everything they can to make it work, given, I think we can't forget, the out clause, right? If they want to fire him, they have to give him like 7 million or something ridiculous. I can't remember the exact number, but
Is it only 7?
It would be very expensive. Maybe more. It was like 10 million. It was something that would seem so outlandish.
Like
that I was like, man, he better succeed or they are
he
screwed.
is earning he is earning probably as much as all the other managers in the Super League combined are earning. That's what Mourinho and his staff are earning. So, like, firing him would be extremely expensive. But also, I think...
No, and he built in a clause. And it was like, it was obscene number.
He always has those clauses, of course. Yeah, he has those clauses. It's very expensive to fire him. And rightfully so, right? Like, you shouldn't make it possible
You want that time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. Fenerbahce, Ali Koç, they're a chaotic club at times, but they don't really fire coaches on a whim. So I don't think he will be gone. I think he'll finish the season at the very least, unless he gets a better offer, because he also has a clause to leave, I believe, if certain
for the Portuguese national team, right?
Portuguese
Like
national team, perhaps. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Kartal? Does he make it to New Year?
I think he'll finish the season at least. As you said, Kaan, Fenerbahce haven't really been one for sacking a coach during the season in the last few years. I suppose they did sack Vitor Pereira and Erol Bulut during the season, but I think they were...
It's late in the season, though, I think, wasn't
it? Pereira was only 2-3 months into the season, but I think they were doing like proper bad.
Oh yeah, wasn't that when they were like in relegation zone or some shit?
No, that was after that. Erol Bulut actually done okay, to be fair. Maybe that was harsh, but Pereira was struggling, so I can see why they sacked him. But I think he'll see out the season. Like, I just don't see him getting sacked. Even if they don't do great, if they just do okay, I think he'll see out the season, and I think that's what will happen.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's important.
It's too expensive. It's too expensive.
Yeah, and also important what Kartal just said. Even if they don't do great, it's super early. I mean, we can't really draw a conclusion anyway. Like, Fenerbahce could easily still go on and win the league. Like, okay, they dropped 2 points in Göztepe. I think I think dropping points in Göztepe isn't such a big deal. They're one of the toughest away games of the season. Of course, the fashion in which they did so, coming off of Europe Champions League elimination by Lille, that's 2 big blows in like 7 days.
But also, Kaan,
yeah,
don't forget they watched their owner get like shoved to the ground for some reason. I still have no idea. Like every week, the Super League does something we could call special, you know. And this was this week's entry for sure, and it wasn't like it was sort of a non-issue, but it's still one of those things that you've probably never seen before. Just the owner of a club wandering out onto the pitch in the middle of the match for some reason, and like I get he was trying to make a show about like getting Fener's fans into the stadium or wherever it was, but like, you know, he was walking in a delegation of like 50 people. Like, just send one of those 50 people to go let them in or whatever it is. I don't think you need to make such a big show. But obviously, you know, he wanted to be the main character as usual. And I mean, as usual might be unfair. I didn't see him doing something like this. To be honest, I've had somewhat, I've had a bit of respect for Ali Koç historically. I don't really know what he was up to.
I mean, supposedly, Fenerbahce fans with tickets weren't being allowed in. But I don't see the logic with him going out on the pitch and then go outside, go talk to the security people who are allegedly not letting these fans in and sort it out there. What are you going to sort out on the pitch? Absolutely nothing.
It was wild.
It just came across like they were up 2-0. There had been some issues throughout the day between mainly Göztepe fans and Fenerbahce fans, like some some scraps. And it just felt to me like he was trying to like already plant his flag in the pitch, so to speak. Like that's how it came across to me. I don't know if.
Well, and that's why, it's not even just losing to Lille, but I think going up 2-0, having this whole scene unfold, him falling to the ground publicly, kind of backfired as far as his little show. And then they allow 2 goals, and allow a newly promoted side to equalize. A side that looked like, they were not ready for the Super League in the first half. So, just a real rough outing for whatever that was. But
that's actually part of the rest. But we'll do. I think I'm going to do that in a separate video this week. Otherwise, we go too long. There's a couple more comments that we should get to probably, Sinan, and then we can go over to the Europa League preview.
Yeah, Orhan says, I always believe in talent in sports. 11 talented guys at the age of 22 can beat the 11 guys at the age of 32. So this young guy can be good. He's talking about this Chelsea winger that we might be getting. Experience is not that important, I think. Yeah, I mean, obviously talent. And I mean, he's a talent that the likes of Chelsea were hunting for. So he should be quite talented.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think experience is extremely important. You need a couple.
Yeah, experience is a skill too.
You need a couple of
right?
leaders and experienced guys on the team, but you also need a healthy dose of youthful enthusiasm. And some young players don't. The
eagerness, right, to make a name for yourself.
Not just that, and some young players just don't have issues with pressure and that kind of stuff. Especially look, this guy comes from Santos, one of the bigger clubs in Brazil. He's probably used to playing against teams like Palmeiras, Flamengo, what other teams, like some of those massive games in Brazil. Like young Brazilian players coming from some of the bigger clubs in Brazil, like the pressure of Turkey, they'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like, plus the way they grew up and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely agree with Orhan to an extent, but I don't agree with experience not being important. Experience is extremely important, and you need the right dose. And earlier in the season, or in the transfer window, I think we were all kind of like, maybe we're bringing in too many old players, and what happened to, Hassan Arat's philosophy of bringing in younger players. But now with Cher Ndour and maybe Angelo Gabriel, we're bringing in 2 really young players, and then we've already brought in Emirhan, who's only like 23. So we're doing well in that regard, I think.
Yeah, we've balanced it out. I think it's safe to say we've balanced out the youth and the wisdom and the super talents with the kind of useful, the guys who provide certain roles really well. The only thing we're maybe lacking is a set piece taker, but keeping Muçi could be helpful in that sense. And you never know who might emerge. And maybe this kid will provide that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think things are looking good on the horizon for us. But, yeah, let's just let's keep it going, right? Let's hope Thursday we see continued resilience, fortitude, and whatnot.
Exactly. And you can introduce the next part of the show as you take as you end this final part, I guess.
Yeah, so it's stay tuned. Just that's all there really is to say. Keep watching. I'm going to yell at you guys, as I always do, to say goodbye. But stay tuned afterwards, because you're going to hear a great interview with Oliver Zesiger. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Who is the sporting director for
FC Biel.
FC Biel in the 2nd division of Switzerland. Rivals of Xanax, right? Neuchâtel, I think.
Neuchâtel Xamax, they just knocked them out of the Swiss Cup.
That's great. That's fun. It's a name that I think many might recognize. But so stay tuned. He's a great interview. He gives us a lot of nice information on Lugano and what to expect this coming Thursday. So without any further ado, I should say, let's go Beşiktaş! On to the next segment. Peace out.
New European adventure is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. Beşiktaş are back in the UEFA Europa League, and hopefully for a long time to come. But if we want to reach those league stages of the Europa League, we'll have to get rid or get past rather one of our previous opponents in Europe, last season's FC Lugano, who we faced of course in the Conference League. That went with varying success, and here to talk to us about Lugano once again, just like he did last season, is Oliver Zesiger, the sporting director at FC Biel in the Swiss 2nd Division. Oliver, thank you for joining us again, for being a recurring guest, and congratulations with your big win on the weekend against Samax in the Swiss Cup.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, and yeah, thanks for the congratulations. It was a great win.
I can definitely imagine it was. Samax is of course a club that many people might remember from the past. FC Biel is kind of the new kid on the block, at least for me personally. How is your season going so far? I saw you did pretty well in the season openers.
Yeah, it's not really a new kid on the block. Biel is a club founded in 1896, but they went bankrupt like 8 years ago, and so they had to climb up the ranks from the 6th division back to the now 3rd division. And we were happy to play the Swiss Cup this season and eliminate Samax, which is a rival and a team that plays the 2nd division above us. Season so far is good. We're unbeaten, including friendlies. We won a preseason tournament. We won the season opener, drew away, and then won again at home. So life's good so far.
Well, wishing you all the best in the season going forward, and hopefully you guys can vie for promotion to the top flight in Switzerland this season. Of course, we're here to talk about Lugano. We talked about Lugano already last season, so there'll be a couple of questions that maybe harken back to our previous interview. But let me start with this one. On Thursday, of course, on the 22nd of August, Beşiktaş will play away in Switzerland, and this match will be played at the Stockhorn Arena in Thun. Last season, you actually mentioned that Lugano are building a new stadium or renovating their old stadium. How far along are they with that, and what's the capacity of the Stockhorn Arena? What kind of crowd can we expect to think?
Yeah, so the Stockhorn Arena has a capacity of around 10k, and I think there will be a lot of Turkish fans at the arena. Lugano doesn't have many fans that travel. The thing is also the travel from Lugano to Thun is around 4.5 hours, which is quite long for Swiss standards, and I don't expect to have many fans there. Work on Lugano Stadium is coming along nicely. I think they will be finished either next summer or the winter after, so winter 25-26, and it still looks like a huge construction site. One side, the stand-up post to the main stand, is still not there, which is a bit strange in TV images, but in general it comes along nicely. It will be a top stadium, I'm sure.
Yep. So how is the Lugano squad compared to last season? Have they lost any key players, or would you say they've improved the squad in general?
So they did improve the squad in terms of depth, and they have now every position they have doubled. So they started this season out with Europa Champions League qualifiers, and then in the league game right after they changed like 7 players, and they still won. So that's a new quality that we've seen from Lugano this season. One key player they've lost is Cher Ndour. He was Lugano's top scorer last season and went to QPR in the championship, but I'm sure they're still looking for a replacement. But as you all may or may not know, strikers in the market, especially goal scorers, are very sought after and come at the premium usually. So it's not that easy to find a good striker, and I think they will leave it up until closer to the deadline to find a replacement. But in general, I like this Lugano team better than last season's team, just because they have now the young players. They're now playing the second season. And as I said, they doubled all their positions, and they're capable of switching 5, 6, 7 players without losing quality.
That's very impressive. they've been able to do that.
Didn't Chancellor score against us, by the way? I think he might have scored in the new.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually. I don't know. I didn't look up the match statistics, but I wouldn't be surprised if he scored against you.
We blocked that out. We don't try to
Didn't
recall that. First of all, Oliver, I'd like to personally thank you for coming on. Welcome you to the pod. But yeah, I obviously, since we're talking about Europe here, I'm curious. How would you characterize Lugano's performance against Partizan in these, in their two-legged tie that just recently concluded?
I unfortunately wasn't able to see much of these games, but from what I've heard, from what I've read, and from what I've seen, is that especially the match in Belgrade was very impressive from them. So they could have won even higher. At home, they were a bit lucky. I think that Partizan had the better chances, but in the end, they managed to sneak through.
Do you think that losing, I don't want to mispronounce his name, Albion Hadidari, right? Yeah, he got sent out. Is that going to be a big loss for them?
Yes, it is. Luckily for them, he will only miss the first game, but it is a big loss. He's undoubtedly a starting 11 player, a strong defender, a physical defender. And he was also already talked about when it comes to the national team. So he's one for the future for Switzerland, and he's one for the present for Lugano.
Yeah.
And
All right.
Oliver, what can you tell us about Mattia Crocitorti, the coach, of course, of Lugano? You already gave us a little bit of a lowdown last season, and you tipped him back then as a tactically strong coach. I think we got to witness that firsthand, and so did Fenerbahce earlier in the season already. But what can you really tell us about him? What type of football does he advocate playing, and what can Beşiktaş expect on Thursday in the away game? How do you expect Lugano to take to that game?
So I like Mattia Crocitorti a lot. He's a young manager. He's energetic. He doesn't hide, so which means that he doesn't just defend. He has a very variability in his game, which means also he's strong in observing opponents and figuring out their weaknesses, and then setting up his team respectively. He is really one who has also a voice with the players because he's young. So he has a common voice with the players, and I think every player enjoys. Obviously, if you play more or less, that is a deciding factor as well. But almost every player enjoys playing for him. In terms of the game, I think at the first leg they will try to attack, although they will be cautious at the back. That's what they can do. They can do both at the same time, which is also the merit of Mattia Crocitorti. But I don't think they will go all out or all defending. I think they will have a well-balanced game and try to sneak away with a result.
Yeah, and we noticed that, of course, against Fenerbahce as well, they aren't afraid to take the game to the opponent. I was really impressed with how they played against Fenerbahce, especially in the first game, but also in the second game. They scored a wonder goal as well. Yeah, they really are a gutsy team.
Yes, and and that's also like the personality of the coach. He is bold, he's gutsy, he's one to try something, and even if it goes wrong, which surprisingly doesn't go wrong often, but even if it goes wrong, he will try again.
Yeah. So the next question is, like last season, it was a big question mark as to how Lugano could perform in the hostile environment that is Beşiktaş's stadium. They done very well. They got a surprise win, and also gained further experience against Fenerbahce in a similar kind of atmosphere. Do you think this could be an advantage for them now that they're used to that kind of atmosphere and they've shown that they can thrive in it?
Yes, I think so. Lugano was able to keep most of their key players from last season. Most of them also played in Istanbul. and played at Fenerbahce as well this season. And I think this is an advantage. And as I said, they have a lot of young players actually who played their first season on top flight level in Switzerland last season, and also may have played a part in that game in Istanbul. And I think that all these components make Lugano a more dangerous team this season, especially when it comes to playing in front of hostile crowds like yours.
Yeah. I guess I'm up next, guys. So this is sort of a complicated question. Lugano's coach made some comments that got some attention in Turkey recently. He said that, to quote, Fener are a much stronger team than Beşiktaş. And so I guess, first of all, looking at the results against Fener, they played quite well against a strong Fener side. Obviously, Fener got the wins in the end, but they were tightly contested affairs, right? I think Lugano will hang their hat on pretty good performances. Do you think they're going to come into our tie like with increased confidence based on that performance? Is there a chance? And I guess this is the second tier of the question. I'm curious if in Switzerland Fener has a much higher like reputation than Beşiktaş. Whoa, weird slip there. And so, like, is there a chance that perhaps Beşiktaş could be underestimated? Given that I think Beşiktaş fans would say that we're probably playing better than Fener at the moment. So sorry, two-tier question. Are they coming in with increased confidence? And is there a chance of underestimating us?
It's a loaded question for sure.
Yeah, sorry.
I try to answer as well as I can. First off, Croci Totti may have been misquoted. I don't know why he would say that, but yeah. So I think from my experience, the biggest, most followed Istanbul team in Switzerland is Galatasaray, and then it's open. I have a very good friend who is a die-hard Beşiktaş fan. Hello, Aurelia. I think Kaan knows him as well, if I'm not mistaken.
We all know him very well.
Okay,
actually,
okay.
Sinan actually met up with him just a couple of days ago, right, Sinan?
I took him out to tacos like three days ago. I'm gonna see him on Friday. He's coming back through New York.
Okay, very well. Yeah, it's funny how small the world is sometimes.
Indeed, yeah, that's cool.
So it is a tough question to answer because I think that Beşiktaş doesn't have the name of a Fenerbahce here in Switzerland or of a Galatasaray. I think from the big three, I think Beşiktaş is the least followed, at least from my perspective. I could be wrong, yeah. I don't know. So what makes a difference here is also everybody was looking forward to seeing Jose Mourinho in Thun. I think the name Jose Mourinho still rings brightly in Switzerland because he hasn't been here often, and I think people don't really know too well Beşiktaş in terms or compared to a Fenerbahce maybe. So this might be an advantage for Lugano. This might be a disadvantage. All I know is that I'm sure they will do their homework and they will obviously analyze all the games that Beşiktaş played this season. They may even have video from your preseason friendlies because everybody's connected with everybody in football. So they will be very well analyzed by the analytics department at Lugano. So I don't think that Lugano is over or underestimating Beşiktaş.
Nice. No, and yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I think we probably all expect to be considered, the third strongest, although some of our listeners are probably, gonna get, worked up about it. But no, yeah, that was why I asked. I assumed that perhaps, like we'd be only known by true football lovers, perhaps. You know, I mean, I don't know if we're a household name in Switzerland, right? Not yet. Not until we win the Europa League. Anyway, sorry, Kaan, you're up next.
Well, in my experience, Beşiktaş, Fenerbahçe, and Galatasaray are the three teams that everyone knows, like everyone who loves football, of course. But I think perhaps this has been taken a little bit out of context, you know, and it's something that Beşiktaş fans especially have latched onto. But what I think they have kind of failed to do is see it within the proper context, because you have to look at the current state of the team of Fenerbahçe coming off of a 99-point season, and then us with like, what was it, 50 points or something? Like we were almost 50 points behind Fenerbahçe last season. So I think in that regard, what Koçi Tohti said is the Beşiktaş side he faced and the Fenerbahçe side he was about to face at the time obviously were miles and leagues apart, and I think we can all agree on that being correct. Yeah. Obviously, Beşiktaş are a transformed team now, perhaps. Oliver, a big question for you as well. How important do you think it is for Lugano to reach the Europa League stages? Is it very important for them? Is it the main goal for them after missing out on the Champions League? Or do you think that they'll take solace with a Conference League spot?
Obviously, they want to reach the group stage at the Europa League, but in the end, if Beşiktaş proves to be too strong for Lugano, they will be happy to play the Conference League, because many people in Switzerland like the Conference League a lot. It has some really cool smaller teams in it. And I saw that the directors of Lugano and the club, they celebrated getting to a group stage when they eliminated Partizan. So that tells me that they would be fine also in playing in the Conference League. But obviously they want to win, because there's more money, there's bigger primes, bigger bonuses for the players, and more money for the club. So, and also bigger opponents, which means also bigger attendances normally. So the goal is still going to the Europa League group stages. But if it's the Conference League in the end, I think they'd be happy to.
Lugano started, basically that was the implosion that happened within Beşiktaş after that 3-2 loss to Lugano last season. Maybe you don't know what happened after that, Oliver. Basically, the fans in the stadium didn't leave. They demanded the board's resignation, and also the coach left. So really, that result caused an implosion at Beşiktaş. I was just wondering if you think there could be another upset this season, or do you think it's not as likely this year?
I think there could be an upset, but I hope I can calm you down in saying that this won't start the downfall of Beşiktaş this season, and this hopefully won't start protests from the fans against the current board. I think Lugano is good enough to cause an upset, but they need to be almost perfect to do it. And they've shown in these games so far that they had a strong start to the season, but they still, like the last league game, they lost 2-3 at home against FC Luzern, who is a mid-table side, while Lugano is more or less challenging for the title this season. And this still showed me that they're not as strong as maybe the first few games showed. So there is a chance that Lugano causes an upset, but I think that the overall favorite still is Beşiktaş.
You're up.
Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking if we had actually already talked about the key players of Lugano, or did I forget to add that question to our format? I think I might.
It was like an addendum to an earlier question. I think it might have been glazed over.
Yeah, we asked about the changes in the squad, right? But like you already highlighted him last season, Renato Stefan is clearly a very important player. He also assisted the equalizer against Partizan. He scored the first goal. So he was very instrumental in even getting to this stage of the Europa League. But who other than him? I saw Mahmoud, a player named Mahmoud, scored a couple of goals already this season. And who else would you highlight as key players for Lugano? Players that Beşiktaş should watch out for?
So you highlighted the most dangerous player already. Renato Steffen is one of the best players of the Swiss League, a current Swiss international and Euros participant. So he is crucial to their attacking. Another good player, as we already spoke about him, is Albion Haidari. Unfortunately for Lugano, he is suspended for the first match. And Ousmane Doumbia in midfield, he's like the motor and the brain of the game. So he stays back a lot, but he is able to distribute the ball or recover the ball and then move forward with the ball. So another very good player. And finally, it's Uran Bislimi, and number 8, number 10, it depends on the opponent where he plays, but a very good attacking-minded midfielder who can cause problems, who's also a Swiss international and someone who's still young and still has some potential to reach. The only thing that I worry for Lugano for the moment is the lack of really strong striker. I know Kacper Przybyłko, he has had a good start to the season, but I don't think that Lugano will go or that Lugano will finish the transfer window with him as a sole striking option. So I believe that Lugano will still sign a player, although this does not concern you, as the player is not signed yet. He cannot be registered for the tie. But I think in general that they will do something up front. Other than that, they have a very equal team with 2 or 3 standout players.
And how are the chances seen in Switzerland by the general public? How do they see Lugano's chances here to advance against Beşiktaş? Do you think that last season's win in Istanbul has given the general public some confidence?
I think so, yeah. Most of the people I spoke to, they were saying that if Lugano gets a good result in the first leg, then they can go to Istanbul with less pressure and maybe get a result there. And I think that last season's result in Istanbul helped a lot for this confidence. It is also that Lugano now has risen in status in Switzerland. Young boys for better part of the last 6-7 years were the dominating team, but now the Swiss public, they see a challenger in Lugano, because young boys, they had some challenges once Zurich won the title, then maybe Servette was close to winning a title, but they've never had a challenger where the Swiss public could say, this will be a fight to the end against young boys. Now with Lugano, it seems like there is that challenger.
Yeah, plus young boys missed their season start as well, so that's good news, I guess. Guys, sorry, go ahead.
What happened to FC Basel? Didn't Basel go on a... God, has it already... I'm already old enough now that decades kind of compressed. When didn't Basel go on a fairly impressive European run? What was
didn't they win 7 titles in a row as well?
They won from 2009 to 2017. They won 8 league titles and several cups in a row. They qualified for round of the last 16 in the Champions League twice. And long story short, they had several changes in leadership, several owner changes, and this destabilized the club massively. It looks now that they've stabilized it again, and they have some good young players. They also signed, very recently, they signed Xherdan Shaqiri, a Basel boy who comes back, and it looks like they're on the upswing again, but it's Basel in the last few years. You never know where this will end.
Kartal, Sinan,
sorry,
that
was a bonus question. No, I guess that was even off subject enough, probably. But no, thank you so much. Let me just personally say, Oliver, thank you for giving us your time, and I'm sure our listeners will really appreciate your insight.
I think Kartal has a question though.
Yeah, I was just going to say from the outside looking in that Basel's kind of the the big name from Switzerland that people think of for sure. So I was just going to agree with Sinan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from my experience anyway.
Maybe in 10-15 years it's gonna be FC Biel.
Yeah, maybe our kids will grow up with no idea who this Basel is.
Yeah, I'm working on this with FC Biel, but it's a long road.
Well, good luck for sure. Also,
Thanks.
Let that be official. That the podcast wishes you good luck.
Until we
I can
meet in
speak for
Europe,
us all.
of course.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, in a couple of years.
Biel
That's when
Beşiktaş
we'll-
in like 3 or 4 years. Book it.
Yeah, imagine if that would happen. How cool would that be? Then we'd have to have you on for a fourth time.
Yeah, you could.
I think we would have to visit your stadium and
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
record live,
you'd be
for
all
sure.
invited to come to the stadium and do a whole series about the game. If that's the case, I do think it's slightly unrealistic, at least in the next 4 to 5 years.
Never know.
Well, good luck nonetheless. Nevertheless, good luck.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Oliver, for joining us.
Believe.
And thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
having me.
And thank you very much for watching this episode on Beşiktaş against Lugano in the UEFA Europa League qualifier playoffs. I should say the first leg is on the 22nd of August, that is this coming Thursday. And then, of course, the return leg in Istanbul is on the 29th of August when Beşiktaş will host Lugano. And this time around, let's hope we don't have another complete and utter collapse. Thanks everyone for joining, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.
Ortada Bobo. Şimdi Bobo'nun önüne. Bobo aldı. Bobo girdi. Bobo